right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Price Memory Podcast, also known as the Trading Card Financial Insolvency Podcast, the Market is Crashing Podcast, the We Both Need to Go Find and Read a Book as Soon as Possible podcast, because our copy of The Intelligent Investor unfortunately found its way into the bin. Not sure how that happened, but anyways, appreciate everybody being here. We got some good topics tonight. The market is in a topsy-turvy state. Snorlax is looking pretty chill over there, Kai. So what's been going on with you?
Hello. I've spent the last 2 weeks doing what any bad business owner should do, and putting all of your liquidity into highly speculative assets. But yeah, not a lot, just mostly the same. Just going down rabbit holes, buying things I shouldn't, streaming, etc. The normal. But mate, yourself, congratulations on the launch of your new website. It looks very clean, and I assume you'll get some of your time back. So
yeah.
Have you had many orders through it? Going well? People are using it happily?
Yeah, it was weird because like the week leading up to the launch of the website, I was kind of like, oh no, maybe the summer slowdown is here, because orders like dropped off a little bit. Turns out it was just people tired of ordering the normal way and wanted to order through the website, because the first couple of days, it's been up for 2 days now, and it's been going really good. We're still working on like a few little things here and there to kind of make it a little bit cleaner, but for the most part, it's saving everybody a lot of time, and it seems to be going really good. But I did have a cool hobby happening today before we got on the podcast. So to my dismay this morning, as you know, I am a purveyor of extreme dust, Bandai Cardos to be specific, and I have a lot of this stuff blue dotted on eBay. So I get emails every morning to check and see if these cards are popping up. And this morning, a bunch of PSA 10s and high grades of Visual Adventure popped up. And I said, hold on, like this either the absolute sensei Japanese grader has like finally hit the market, or something's off here. So I click into these listings, and they're all on PSA's eBay. And do you remember like a week ago, I sent you that link to the modern reprints? They mislabeled an entire submission as vintage. That was the modern reprints. And I was like, no, dude. And like some of these cards are like literally pop. The actual vintage versions are like actually pop 1 in PSA 10. So I was like super bummed. Because in some cases, like I own like, some of these 9s and 10s and stuff. And a lot of the value and sort of scarcity and fun behind chasing these cards is tied up in the fact that they're impossible to grade in PSA 9 and PSA 10. So I tried messaging, PSA's eBay account. I was just like, hey, you guys, like these are all mislabeled. Like these are wrong. And you can just like clearly tell. I mean, like they're saying the cards are from 1991, but like you just look at the card and you're like, dude, that was not printed in 1991. Like the colors are way too saturated. It's glossy. It's fake, or not fake, but like modern reprint. So I messaged them and I was like, hey, like these are from a premium box that Bandai recently released. And I sent them pictures of like my vintage slabs, and I was like, here's how you tell, like if it's vintage, it actually has the year printed in the middle of the card on the back. And they basically gave me some BS corporate response, and they're like, oh, like we can't really offer any sort of information. Like once the cards are encapsulated, like that's it. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I messaged the homie Jodo Jacob, friend of the show, and he got me in contact, or he got in contact with like, supposedly the correct people that can make something happen, and said, hey, just like send me the information. And so he contacted whoever he needed to contact at PSA, and apparently like they're going to remove them from the vault and take them down. Hopefully the pop reports get like fixed retroactively, because there was a lot of not only the prisms, but the non-prisms too, with like some of the cooler arts that are extremely low pop, that were in like PSA 10, and it's like, dude, these are all the modern reprints. So, and that was like a huge bummer to me to see that this morning. I was like, man, I hope they go back and fix this. So this is why you always trust the homies. You never trust the pillars. But right before we got on the podcast, someone else responded to me, Nat Turner, CEO of PSA. A couple of our homies have had good luck with reaching out to Nat and saying like, hey, I have a problem. Like, can you help me out? So I sent him a very respectful message, said, hey, man, You know, like I know this is probably low on your list of priorities lately, but I love this stuff. I love you know, DBZ Cardos, and these are clearly a modern reprint. You know, here's all the reasoning, blah blah blah. It looks like they all came from the same submission, so like maybe one grader just overlooked it and you know, just automatically. And honestly, like I think the person submitting must have tried to like be getting one over on the graders. Like I don't think the graders would have seen them say, "Oh, this is a modern reprint," and then been like, "No, no, no, these are the 1991 versions." I don't think that's what happened. I think the person submitting was trying to get one over on PSA, and they managed to, probably just because, you know, they're so over inundated right now. But anyways, he responded and said, "Hey, thanks. Like, can you shoot this over and email it to me?" So after the podcast, I'm gonna hop on. I'm gonna copy all of the links that I found to like the mislabeled listings and send them over. And like, yeah, hopefully something gets done. So for all the hate that's been going around on PSA, a billionaire took the time to respond to little old me over some very dusty cards that you know, very few people are even interested in, at least right now. So I thought that was kind of cool. But anyways,
yeah, and Nat's replied to me twice saying, I think on an issue that I got no help with. I'm like, hey, Buckstrap, give me a hand. He's like, yeah, bet. No, it's been good. But yeah, why don't you just buy the reprint 10s and just cope that you've got the business?
Yeah, cope with the fact that it's impossible to get the real 10s. Yeah, no, I'm all good. And it's funny because it's sad too, because someone is bidding on like a few of them, and they started the bids at like $500, and it's like, dude, these are like $2 cards. And so someone's thinking like, oh my God, like I finally found my grail. No one else is watching this. And maybe they just aren't educated as like you or I are on a lot of these cards. So yeah, anyways, I'm hoping they get taken down. I'm going to ask, this might be a stretch, but I'm going to ask him when I email him, hey, like, I know you guys are really busy right now. If you send me the like cert numbers, like of the entire visual adventure pop, I personally in my free time will go through them and look at all the scans and let you know which ones are reprints, because like it's important to me. Like that's my biggest like investment position, I guess, in like slabs. Well, yeah, like in slabs for sure. It's definitely like the Dragon Ball Z stuff. So it matters to me, and like I think it's cool, and it's fun to chase the rarity. So if these are getting blown up with cards that come like sealed in cellophane that were printed this year and they're all gonna 10, like that's a bummer, right? So I can't see him doing that. I can't see them doing that, but like I'm gonna ask because this has happened before. They mislabeled, because Bandai's done these premium boxes before for like the Hondan stuff, the regular Cardos stuff, and I remember seeing like Hondan cards come out of the premium boxes and get mislabeled. And it was funny because on the back of the Hondan reprints it says 30th anniversary, so it's like, what are you guys doing? But anyways, yeah, no one probably cares about this other than me, so we can move on. But you know, I was pretty hyped when I saw Nat responded, because I figured he wasn't even gonna read it. So shouts out to PSA, shouts out to Nat Turner. Maybe we can get him on the podcast one of these days. But okay, well, so
PK managed it. We can do it.
Yeah, that's true. PK did. I think PK got him on a couple times, actually. All right, we're just gonna get right into it. You've been jonesing to talk about this. Summoner's Rift. We could be feeding our way into Bronze 4, but instead we're here talking to you guys today. So why don't you tell everybody about your latest obsession, speculation, why you're bullish? Let's hear it.
Yeah, it all started, you know, we both like League of Legends, most popular game in the world. I play it very, very, very terribly and casually. But I've always been a fan of it and the IP. Arcane's obviously great, things like that. We saw Riftbound, the TCG, came out a bit over 12 months ago now. And I think the very first, I don't think we ever talked about it, but we both jumped in and made a play on, these are like the Chinese collector box cards. So these were the very first ever printed League of Legends cards. They came out in a promo. They were limited to 5,000 is what was foretold. We made play together and I made a play individually. We bought like over 100 boxes total, like sets of the promos. We graded them and just been sort of slow selling them since. We sold them really high to begin with, as it happens. You know, people started auctioning them and they crashed. Like we were selling them for like a 10x at the start, and then they probably dropped 90%, 80% over that time. I've always had my own personal sets of them, and I've always had them on my eBay, and I never dropped the price on them. I left the price at what we were selling them for originally 12 months ago. And then last week, one sold, and I said, "Oh wow, I haven't sold one of those in 12 months." And I said, "That's interesting." So I, do what I did, shipped it out, re-up the quantity to re-up the quantity, and I woke up the next morning and someone bought all of them, like the prices I had them listed. So it's still the prices from 12 months ago, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." I relisted them all again, up the price 20-30%. Immediately, the same person bought them all. Redid it again, up the price 20-30%. Someone bought them all. Happened. I sold about 40 of them in the span of about 2 days, and because of that, I go, "What's that like? What's going on?" And so jumped in, started doing some market research. Luckily, it's still a pretty new game. There's not a whole lot of nuance to the market to get like a pretty general overview. And basically, that TCG is just, as of about 3 to 4 weeks ago, a lot of things are kind of up between 2 and 20x. And I've always been wanting to, like, I remember saying like 2 or 3 years ago in like the Discord and stuff like that, if League of Legends ever released a TCG, I would heavily invest in that TCG just because I really like the IP. I think it's got a pretty good, I think it's got a very good overlap with collectors. I think that people who are playing that game and playing the TCG are probably in the right age range to be collectors and are kind of interested in these sorts of things. But I didn't do it to start with. I waited. I sort of said I'm going to wait till a good point. These sales that I had on my eBay were just that kind of reinvigorated, tick my brain over, going, "Oh, what's going on now? Like, let's look into it now. Like, is now the time to look into it and start buying?" Turns out I'm, 3 or 4 weeks late from the bottom. But I started selling it, and then I sold like $25,000 worth of these Chinese cards in the last week, and I've gone, okay, like the market's kind of firing back up. The first set's kind of out of print now. They're distinguishing between like wave 1, wave 2, like all the nuances kind of bringing it in. I think with a lot of the Pokemon market kind of being on the back burner for a lot of people, I think a lot of money is kind of just flowing into other places. I think we see that pretty often, like when something gets really hot and then there's a bit of a standstill, like is the market going to go up or down? People spill their money in other places that they want to. And that's kind of what I've done. Like I haven't felt like I've needed to buy much Pokemon in the last couple of weeks. I've kind of got a pretty good inventory for streaming. Like I've got a 2-3 month backlog of slabs. I've got everything kind of churning. And I've always wanted to like jump into this market. So as I said, like there's probably only, there's 1 or 2 podcasts that kind of do market dives and things like that. And so it really didn't take me long to learn everything about that game and, dive into what are all the early promos, what are the early sets, what are the distinctions between things, what do different stamps mean, what are the prize cards. So that's what I've been doing over the last week. And it's been really fun. It's been like a fresh, I think that's really what I needed, was a fresh breath of air of something new to like get you back into it. Like I was so burnt out. I was bored, like just burning, churning, like the regular stuff. And yeah, I just started, really just ape-brained in and bought basically every single thing that was available on Australian eBay. Looked into what, and it's really funny because like I'm now buying at like what the prices were 2-3 weeks ago. I'm buying at 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x on some specific cards. But like for the most part, like cases of the product haven't really moved. So I bought a bunch of cases of all the sets. I bought a bunch of there's like metal promo cards, like that were prize cards. If you go to the games nights and you're awarded points, you can build up your points and then buy a card. It's very similar to like the Japanese play cards in the way that you would like build up your points in the events, and then you can go buy yourself a gold Star Umbreon or whatever. Obviously, at a much lower scale, but no, I just kind of learned everything about the market and then just got really bullish on it and bought a bunch of cool stuff, and then went full degen and I opened about 5 cases of booster boxes just for fun. I kind of did it because I wanted to actually spend a bunch of money on the hobby, on Riftbound. And so like I've got this single store now. So we ripped all these cases. I ran every single card through Card Uploader, threw it on eBay. So we've got like 1,500 SKUs of Riftbound now. And we're selling like $300-400 a day in like playable singles and stuff. So I'm going to recoup a lot of the money from opening. I know it's not the smartest thing to do, but yeah, it was really fun. Like I've had a good week. I've been excited this week about this, and yeah, I guess I'm just bullish on it because it's just it kind of sat dormant and has been going down since the release, and now just kind of you're starting to see a bit more interest in that market. So could be a massive trap. I could get absolutely crushed, but I think with cases, you're buying like cases 10-20% around like the all-time low price. I think is pretty low risk, but just having fun opening it, looking for the chase cards, things like that. But yeah, it's just it's been fun. I've had a fun week of learning and buying and opening, and I know FOMO turned back into buying a case, which he immediately ripped and things like that. But the only problem, I guess, is I asked Squeaks, Almighty Squeaks, about like what he thinks of it, and he said like, oh, I don't have no positions. I probably should. The only thing I've heard is the company that prints the game. Do you remember what their name was?
Who prints it? Universes. Yeah.
And apparently they've got a very horrific track record of keeping games stable.
Which is kind Universes of the main is worry. Cheap. Which is weird because like Riot is a multi-billion-dollar company, I would assume, or at least Tencent is, who owns like a controlling share, from what I understand, in Riot Games. Like League of Legends prints money, so it's like, why didn't you guys license this out to somebody with a better track record? But maybe, people said that same thing about Bandai. Now Bandai is a completely different, like Bandai is a monster, like even outside of card games, like, toys and all sorts of stuff. Like they've been around since we were kids, but people were down on Bandai for the longest time. And now like, look at what One Piece and Dragon Ball are doing, right? They're crushing, and Naruto is going to come out, and I'm sure that's going to crush. Right. So, that is like one of my concerns with Riftbound, is like universes can get pretty dark. Like, I don't know if they're, but again, like no one had ever heard of or Ravensburger, the company that's doing Lorcana. Like they make like puzzles and stuff. Like they've never made a card game before, from what I understand. And Lorcana has boxes selling for 4 figures and chase cards selling for 5 figures in PSA 10. So it's a total possibility for sure. I love League of Legends. Like I've been playing League since probably late middle school, early high school. Like I absolutely love the game. And same thing. Like I was always like, man, if they ever make a card game out of League, like I would love to get involved with it. And to be fair, like I tried ordering through Mason and Dan about 3 months before like allocations were due, and they both pillared me. So, it is what it is. Like I got absolutely nothing at release. And after that, I just never really got into it. And to be honest, like when the first cards came out, I wasn't like super hyped on the art. They were using like a lot of like screen grabs from the game. They were just using like skin splash art. And I was like, come on, guys, this is a little bit lazy. And we've been spoiled with Pokemon and One Piece, letting artists kind of go wild and make these cards look really awesome. So I was kind of hoping that they would do that with as big of a, property as League of Legends is. I was hoping the cards would maybe look a little bit cooler, and they're starting to get there. Like you've sent me some promos that I'm like, all right, like they're heading in the right direction. Like these are actually pretty cool now. I followed you in, not as crazy as you went, but I bought, I don't know, 5 or 6 cases of the first set, and I don't know, maybe I'll buy more. Like we'll see what happens. But my only pushback is, and a lot of this could just be like my own personal fear from seeing what happened to other TCGs last time we were in, a booming sort of market. Yeah. Right now, there are more alternative TCGs with more money in them than ever before in history. And so I just worry that, like, even though the IP is strong, it's like, is there enough money to sustain this? Because it's not just like, okay, is this a popular IP and do people like the cards? It's like, okay, well, is there a customer acquisition funnel here? Like, is playability like something that is viable? Like, are the tournaments worthwhile? Are people showing up to the tournaments, right? Like, there's all this stuff that kind of goes into making a sustainable card game. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like a crazy undertaking. I'd like to believe if anybody could do it, League of Legends could do it, but also like, Disney is a bigger company than Riot Games. I'm pretty sure. And Lorcana took a while to kind of like to get going. And even still, I think a lot of the earlier Lorcana sets are still fairly cheap. Like the sealed product hasn't moved at all. It's just this most recent like specialty set basically called Fabled that seems to be like really popping off. So I'm not as bullish as you, but I think with how dumb things are, I think there's equal chances that it's like you break even or lose 20%, and then equal chance that you like 10x. You know what I mean? I don't know. And I wanted a little bit of exposure to it, so I followed you in. I bought some cases as well. But yeah, I'm not in love with the art. I'm not completely sold on the game yet. I'm not like super like I love League of Legends, but I'm not like super passionate about the cards. Like there's none of the cards that I've seen that really make me go, other than the Poro cards. The Poro cards are pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. Like I really like the art on those, but like the champions are they're kind of mid to me. I don't know. Like I like for how cool the cinematics are that they make every season, it's like, dude, if you made like Trundle fighting Darius into a card or something, that would be sick. You know what I mean? Or like a champion using their ultimate, or like get creative with it. Like the same way Pokemon is like showing sort of like Pokemon like doing stuff and creating a story about it. It's like, dude, you could do that with League. Like have champions fight each other. Don't just have this like skin splash art or like some AI boring generate. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of.
But I can absolutely see both sides of it. Like I fully understand that like this could be there is a world that I could lose 50 to 90%. Like I like look at MetaZoo Kickstarter boxes. They're down at like $600. They were 15,000. And what's that, like a 97% drop? Like it can happen. I'm well aware that like that is a possibility. I think this one is much more organic. I do see negatives. I see a lot of positives. Like I think they're really playing the collectability aspect in all aspects really well. Saying that, like a lot of the chase cards in the boxes are just the skin splash arts. But then like you looking at, they're doing like they cycle champions per set. So like, if you're a Teemo main, like you could go and collect all the different chase cards that are all the different Teemo splash arts. They're not super creative, but I can see like the inherent collectability in there. And from what I've seen, from everything that I've like learned this week, the playability is really good. All the tournaments they have are really good. Like they have a lot of attendance at like every event and things like that. And they're just coming out in like 3 weeks. They're doing an SKT, like a T1 bundle that are going to have on-card autos from Faker and Carrier and
from the players. That's kind of
cool. Players. They're doing a deck where they're making like 2,500 of like on-card signatures from T1's championship team last year, and then they've got like the normal version. So like they're going to be like insanely pricey, because I think they're limiting to like it was either 500 or 2,500 per card per player, and so that's going to drop next time. It's going to be wild to see. I think that's going to like.
Are we going to get a Dardoch promo on Toxic Mundo or?
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, it's just like I see the upsides, I see the downsides. I just took a bit of a calculated risk. I enjoy the IP. I think there's a better chance that I do it right on it than it crashes and burns. But you never know. It's a risk I'm willing to take, and I was having some fun. If it goes to shit, that's life.
I think it would be cool. You know how when you finish at different ranks at the end of each like split, they give you in-game rewards like exclusive skins and chromas and different things like that. If you could get to like, I mean, it'd have to be like really worth it. You couldn't just hit gold, but if you could get to like diamond and they gave you like a promo, like a ranked promo card or something for hitting like that would be super cool. Like if they did little things like that would be sick.
Yeah. I don't actually play League much anymore. Like I'll occasionally play like an arena or an ARM or something, but I really like watching the esports. Not as much recently. Like I was really big into watching this esport from like 2016 to 2021, 2022, and then kind of, that whole esports bubble popped, and I kind of got a bit over it. Production quality went down, things like that. But it's starting to ramp up a bit, and I noticed. I watched MSI the other day, and they released like exclusive MSI promos. If you're at the MSI tournament in Seoul, you could get. If you go to the fan meet, you could get these exclusive Riftbound promos. And I've noticed that even on the casts, they've been promoting Riftbound a lot on the League of Legends cast. Like you can see that Riot is pushing the card game through like the esports avenue. They're doing these esports release like exclusive drops. Someone said you're going to go hard at the T1 serialized. I think it's going to be impossible to get. I think they're going to be multiple $1,000s per bundle out the gate, and you've only got a chance to like. It's going to go stupid. A Misfortune card sold this morning, a top prize card for 100,000 US. For a raw Misfortune. I know there's like an Ari and a Raw. Yeah, raw.
Raw? Oh
Yeah,
my god. Wait,
I
was
think
it
there's
one of
like
one though?
two. I actually don't know. I don't know exactly about like these top prize cards, how many there are, but I know there's an Ari and a Misfortune, and both sold for six figures, which doesn't mean a lot. Private sales between top collectors, like you never know if it's real or not. But there's a lot of there's a lot of money and movement in the market. You're seeing a lot of these like new channels popping up and be like, look, this thing went up 3 times this week, and then the next day they'll make another video on the same thing. But yeah, I don't mean to harp on about too much. It's just yes, what I've been having fun with this week. So a bit of a change of pace from churning business to actually like learning something new, learning a new market. I think everything I've done in Pokemon and Dragon Ball and all these other games, like it was very easy to like move into a new game, go, what are the first release promos? Where do things come from? What are like the different releases and how many they did? And yeah, this is fun to play around with. And let's see how much money I can lose the next 6 months. Really.
Well, it's funny because we've always been, I mean, even like since we first started kind of like doing business in the card space, like at what, like 6 7 years ago at this point, like we were always into alternate stuff, like different stuff, like dust. And back then it was just like, man, this is like not optimal for business. This stuff is really cool. This stuff is really rare. It's really hard to grade, and it's fun. Like it's more fun than Pokemon, seeing the same stuff over and over and over again. But it wasn't ever like optimal for business. And now it's at a point to where like the market has kind of like finally given us a gift, in the sense that all these alternative TCGs actually have liquidity in them and have like real money behind them. Um, and but we're both kind of at the points where it's like no fun, like all optimization, all Pokemon, like no getting cute and all that sort of stuff. And
I
it's
broke
hard
every
because
commandment. I broke every commandment this week. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
literally. But I like same thing here. Like I've killed off like that side of me. Like I used to be so into, just like the dustiest of the dust, and now it's tough for me to, I don't know, because I'm always worried, like, okay, well, like what if, like what if I, and it's stupid, like it's misplaced worry, because it's not like it's meaningfully gonna affect me, but I always am like, I've trained myself so much to be like high sell-through rate is God. Like it's all about hitting the metrics, it's all about the turnover rate. But I don't really get any fun. Like I bought 100 of that Luffy promo of him eating meat. I literally like ripped them out of the Shonen Jump insert, put them in card savers, and sent them off. And like, there's like, is that super optimal? Will it make money? Yeah, absolutely. Is that fun to me? No. Like, it's way more fun to like look into stuff that I'm interested in. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like maybe subconsciously part of the reason I was like pushing back against like your thesis on it was, I was like, yeah, but like, is it optimal? Like, is it safe? Because I've trained my brain to sort of like think that way, to make myself successful over the past like 3 to 5 years. But I have been getting into some pretty dusty stuff recently. I bought well, we'll talk about it later when I do the make the case. But do you think that like this is sustainable for like all these other card games to have these cards selling for 5 6 figures? And in some cases, like, okay, League of Legends makes sense. Like there's probably people with a lot of money in that market that are League of Legends fans, and there aren't a whole lot of places. Like if you're a fan of League of Legends, if you're a big like esports kind of like gamer nerd person, there aren't other options for collectibles for you to stick your money in, right? Like this is it. Like you're gonna buy a chase card of, the Misfortune top prize card, right? So like that makes sense to me. The Lorcana stuff, Disney is massive. That makes sense to me. I know you're not super into it. Maybe that's an Australian thing, but like Disney is huge over here. So like a Mickey PSA 10 selling for $10,000, that makes sense. Am I going to buy like a modern Mickey for 10,000? No, but like I get it. But when I look at this stuff like Gundam and like all these other, it's just like, yeah, like what do you think about it? Do you think like we're finally getting the gift that we've wanted the entire time we've been in the hobby, or do you think that this is just so much new money coming in looking for a place to go, and Pokemon is such a high barrier to entry right now because it's not as attractive to buy booster boxes for like 225 out the gate, 250 out the gate? That money is just going to, DBZ and One Piece and all this other stuff. Like what do you make of like what's happening right now?
I think Pokemon is like the gateway drug to it all. Like people here, like 95% of what you see in like the mainstream media is gonna be like, oh, your Pokemon cards is now worth $1 billion. and then people get interested. They'll be, they might get into it. They might buy a few cards, and then, because of how the market is at the moment, they might go, "Oh, I can't really do much here. What else is there?" And then like the YouTube algorithm might pop them up and be like, "Oh, the Gundam market's on fire." Like, oh, I like Gundam, or I like Disney, I like League, I like Yu-Gi-Oh. Nobody likes Yu, but like, you know what I mean? And it kind of feeds them into all these other alternate TCGs. I think at the moment, because I won't call it healthy, but because all these other alternate TCGs have so much money into them, these new people coming in might not know the history of like how alternate TCGs have gone in the past. And they might just come in and see, hey, there's a thriving market here. There's people buying and selling every single day on eBay and TCG Player of these markets. And that probably is what also helps prop up these markets. Like I had a catalyst this week of me getting into the retail market. It was not on my mind. I hadn't thought about it since I got my cases at release. I was like, I can sell them for a bit of profit now. I sold them all to Ray. And I said, when things calm down, like I want to come back in and I want to take a position. And yeah, I think having all these alternate markets is good, because I think it also helps people stick around in the space in general. Because if they get burnt out, like they can, go and spend, a tenth of the money, a 20th of the money, and maybe buy some other cool collectibles in a different category. And I think you see that a lot. I think you see a lot of people, like, you might know that, they're 90% Pokemon, but then, they like to dabble in Yu-Gi-Oh! They like to dabble in Dragon Ball, they like to do other things. And I think having big, and I think the other part is like a lot of the most successful ones have been the most playable ones, and the ones that have had the most like support from the companies in terms of the playability. I think the big example is like the original MetaZoo. Like it, from my understanding, like it was obviously very influencer hyped out the gate. You had like the guys partnering with like King Pokemon and Steve Aoki and all these guys. It was very obviously artificially pushed up to start with. But then on top of that, like the playability, from my understanding, was, yes, there was tournaments, things like that, but the cards were so quirky and weird. It wasn't like a very sustainable like tournament-based game. But then you see a lot of these new games. I don't know how playable the Lorcana is. I don't know anything about that market. But just what I've learned from a few of these other ones, like Riftbound does seem very well organized. They've got a lot of local events. They've got a lot of good playability. The game plays well. It's very, from what I hear, a lot of like Magic players are kind of moving over to it. You can do like 2v2s. You can do like free-for-alls. You can do, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can play the game. And I think that helps it thrive. But yeah, like I think people coming in and sort of seeing that there is strength in other markets is only a kind of a good thing. As you say, like if you go into like a 3-4 year bear market, the collectability and the money flowing into those alternate TCGs you might get cooked on it. But I think as long as the playability aspects and like all those sorts of things continue on, I think there's always kind of opportunities for the market to then, cycle right back up again and see those sorts of like, if it kind of gets ingrained in the trend of like the regular overall card market cycles, I think that's probably a good thing. Rather than just like the first sign of a weakness, the whole thing crashes and burns and they just kill it. That's the risk. Like the risk is you go into a 3-year down market now and then you see like players dropping off for whatever reason from the events, and then they just axe it and then it's dead. It's a dead card game. And then I think that's what happened to original MetaZoo. Obviously they got sued and all that, whatever it was, they went bankrupt, but and that kind of just killed it completely. So as long as that doesn't happen, like that's obviously the worst case scenario, and then it doesn't become collectible, like original MetaZoo as we stand isn't seen as collectible, isn't seen as a dead TCG that has value, because the pinnacle of that hobby, the Kickstarter booster box, is down 97%. You would think if there was enough of a base, like buyer base, collector base, and I don't like cryptids. Cryptids aren't a big thing in Australia. Cryptids are very American, and so that was never like
very hillbilly in America. Like, do you know what hillbilly means, or like redneck? Is that like a term in Australia?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. We call them bogans here.
Okay, yeah, that, like, if you're into cryptids, you're like, you got a beer gut, you're slamming like 12-pack of Budweiser out on your porch, you live in a trailer park, like those are the kind of people that are like, oh yeah, like them.
I remember I was giving Dan heaps of shit because he's like, I was saying like he was kind of when he was like on his Metazoo chill train. It was kind of like cryptids. I think it was very much he was like, oh, cryptids are massive worldwide. Everyone loves cryptids. They're huge. I'm like, well, not like they're not. They're very. I would say they're very American centralized, and they're not a popular part of modern culture. Like realistically, especially in like the internet age we're in now. Like, yeah, they just don't have. Whereas like League is still the biggest game in the world. It is growing. League in Korea and China have not had a year where the numbers of players and investments stuff like that have gone down. Like Korea and China, it is only been bigger. They're getting like 10, 15 million concurrent viewers on these big tournaments. Like it's getting bigger and bigger. Faker is like he would be worth $100 million just from playing League. Like these brands, like T1 Telecom, like that's the biggest telecom company in the world, I think, that runs all the telecom in Korea, and he's like the face of it, of like the company. Like he is the like, name brand of like this telephone company. It's crazy. Like it's got much more global
NVIDIA
reach.
to sponsor an American team. We need an American team that could actually be competitive. We need an NVIDIA team would be crazy. I actually saw, I can't remember which player it was, but Jensen Wang, the CEO of NVIDIA, with a League player the other day, did like a press conference, and he gave him one of the new like graphics cards, and he had him like sign it and stuff. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, I mean back to the alternative TCG thing, like.
Oh, he met Faker. He met Faker the other day. So he's the biggest player in the world.
Okay, it was Faker then. Yeah. But yeah, like to your point about like some people come in and they're like, oh yeah, like Pokemon cards is sort of like the entry level, and then after that you're like, oh, well, like what else has cards? That's exactly what I did, because like when I got into the market, I had like no knowledge, no competitive advantage, and my bankroll was like, orders of magnitude smaller than it is now. So I was like, I can't do anything here. Like everybody else is so far ahead of me. Like I'm an idiot. So that's why I, was messaging people from Spain and messaging people from France and teaching myself about Cardos and machines. And like, that's how I found that website with like all the different IPs and stuff. And like, that was fun to me, like going down these rabbit holes and like seeking out that knowledge and becoming an expert in all these things that people just didn't know about, and there wasn't a ton of like readily available information out there. Like that was genuinely fun for me. And I'm not even a collector. Like I'm not the end consumer. And I remember doing a podcast. I think it was on Pokenomics channel, but like we did a podcast a long time ago, and the whole podcast was talking about like, will alternative TCGs or like alternative cards like basically gain steam? Like, will it be something that people were interested in? And even back then I was like, yeah, because like I'm into this stuff. I was into like Marvel and DBZ and like all this other crazy stuff. And I'm like, I'm not even the end consumer here. And like, I'm passionate about this stuff and I think this is cool. So like people that are actual collectors, that like, that's the main way that they engage with trading cards. Like, why wouldn't they also be interested in this stuff, And it's taken a lot longer, obviously, and certain things still, like I look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I saw some posts on Instagram today, and it was like, PSA 10 Exodia sold for $10,000. And I'm like, $10,000 for like one of the key monsters of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like that is cheap compared to like, people are paying $10,000 for a modern Mickey card. You know what I mean? Like $10,000 for probably a sub pop 30 Yu-Gi-Oh card of like the iconic monster. Like outside of Blue Eyes, probably everybody thinks about like Dark Magician Girl and Exodia. Like that seems crazy to me. So some stuff still hasn't moved the way I thought it would. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's healthy too. And I think that like I look at DBZ, for instance, and like before recently, I would say like before the past couple of years, the main collectible thing in DBZ was like action figures. Like that was what like people collected, were like, and like that just never hit to me. Like it's like I'm a grown ass man. Like I'm not trying to have like a bunch of DBZ action figures in my house. You know what I mean? Like my girlfriend's gonna be like, what the hell? But the cards always like hit so much more to me. They're more compact, like they're harder to find. I enjoy the chase, all that kind of stuff. And so I look at some of this other stuff, and I'm like, are cards going to be the thing that's in the category that people are going to gravitate to? And I think that is starting to become more and more accepted. as time goes on, I have no idea. Like if the market truly does draw down, I do think a lot of that stuff is going to be the first stuff to get hit, unfortunately,
sure.
because it's just not as established. There's not as much information there, and ultimately there aren't as many big people, big creators like pumping it, really, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope it sticks around. I really do, because like I enjoy it. Like selfishly, I hope the Naruto game kills it when it comes out, because I'd love to be involved with something that I can like continuously do. Like every time a new One Piece promo comes out, I force myself to just buy 100 copies, get them in, and send them off to PSA, because I know it's going to make money. But I'm not super passionate about One Piece the way I am about like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto or some of this other stuff, or even like League of Legends, you know. So maybe I need to start buying Riftbound promos and grading those in mass. I don't know how print quality is on the cards, but
I guess the one thing, like with Riftbound, like what if you think about League of Legends, what is the collectible prior to cards? What would have been the collectible aspect of it?
skins, I
It was
guess.
it was skins. It was
Yeah.
skins. They've got exclusive skins with like limited drops. You could only get it if you bought the bloody PC game on CD disc. And all they've done is translate those skins in a collectible aspect to this card. And again, whether that holds up over time, and they've got enough skins and popular characters and things like that to keep like the collectability side, like separate to the playability side, fresh and unique, and keeps people interested, like of collecting their main champions with skins and promos and things like that. It'd be interesting to see. Like I guess the other part of it is like brand awareness. And I don't really like One Piece personally. I'm not go watch live action. It's cool. I think some of the cards are cool, but my god, are they killing it? Like people are going mental over like these sports collabs, like these card clubs with like sporting brands and like that. Like they're doing it. I'm trying to think about like the trajectory One Piece has had. Like it came out, it was hyped to begin with, but I don't think it did anything for the first 5 or 6 sets. It wasn't until like the 7th.
Okay. I'm not like trying to hate or whatever, but no one cared about One Piece outside of like Squeaks and a few other people 3 years ago. No one cared.
No one.
And like the prices reflected that, because at the same time that I was buying all those Bandai boxes of Mario and Dragon Ball Z and Mega Man and Gundam and all that stuff, I was buying One Piece boxes for $50 that are now thousands of dollars. If people were always interested in One Piece, where were you back then? And back then, like the Pokemon Bandai stuff was still expensive. The DBZ Bandai stuff was like probably right in second place. So if all these people were always into One Piece, it's their favorite thing, it's the best story of all time, it's the most amazing anime, like all this stuff, where were you guys? Like no one cared. And for like, I don't know why it all of a sudden like started taking off and people are all into like the anime and the manga and stuff. And like
money still out of Pokemon. I think that's all it was.
And I'm not saying people don't genuinely love it, but I'm just saying like I've been into anime my entire life. I never remember people being like, oh, One Piece is a must-watch show. Never. Not a single time. Not a single time. Bleach and, you know, Yu Yu Hakusho and Inuyasha and, you know, Death Note and all these other ones. Like, yeah, for sure. Neon Genesis. Yeah, for sure. But never did I hear people say, oh, dude, One Piece, it's a must-watch. Never, not a single time. And now like everybody's all into it, and like the cards have all this crazy value and all this like vintage One Piece stuff that used to be dirt cheap, that you were grading buying for dirt cheap, that I was grading buying for dirt cheap, all of a sudden are thousands of dollars, and people are spending literally thousands of dollars on common cards that came 200 cards to a box that come out in pretty good condition. The only thing you have to worry about is centering, and now all of a sudden people love it. Like it breaks my brain. I don't get it.
Price had to go up for people to become interested, and that's what happens every single time. No one's interested. You go back looking at like even Riftbound YouTube videos from 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, nothing. Radio silence, dead. But 6 weeks ago, a couple of like the smaller cards got bought out. Someone else came in, bought them out, and then their videos start popping up. Oh, these things doubled. And then 3 weeks ago, now there's 10 channels talking about it. 2 weeks ago, there's 20 channels talking about it. Now there's 50 channels talking about it. Like all it takes, like people aren't interested until the price goes up. And we know that. We see that across everything. I didn't care about, you know, Pokemon wasn't part of my life 6 years ago. I had cards. I had branded things. But it wasn't until the first boom that I go, oh, now I'm interested. It's just human nature that's just how it happens. And I think like One Piece was I wouldn't say dead in the water, but 12 to 18 months ago, it was just a card game that, the diehard fans who are playing it, or if you were like a crazy ass speculator, which is what I guess I'm doing right now with this other one, no one cared. It really takes these cycles to get people in, out, in, out, in, out. People that jump in now, if now 6 months, everything I bought and found halves, now I've learned about it. Now I understand it. If I still see, like, I'm gonna start tracking it from now on. I'm gonna start watching a few podcasts about how the game's going, how the playability is, how these events are going. If things halve or things go down 25%, I might, and I'm stupid enough, I might see that as an opportunity going forward. Like, people don't care until it's in the news, and that goes for me too. But
yeah, I mean, they're making the right moves. Like they're making the right moves, right? Like they're doing all the promos and they have the Netflix show. Like they are executing. Like Bandai is executing. Whoever owns the One Piece IP is executing. Like they're doing a really good job with it. And just to be clear, like I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying this idea that like it was just this, thing just like waiting to pop off is just like I just didn't see that. And when I was buying those One Piece, Cardos boxes for $50, $100. I was just buying them because I thought the art was cool. I didn't know anything about One Piece. I had only seen like a few episodes when I was a kid, and I was just like, this seems kind of cheap. Like I know One Piece is like kind of a cool anime. These seem pretty cheap. Like I'm gonna buy some of it. That was literally it. But it was so readily available. There was tons of it available. That one set with the Nami, it's like Assault on Baroque Works or whatever, dude. There was hundreds of those sealed boxes available for probably like $40 to $60, right? And now those cards are selling for thousands in PSA 10. Like it just, I don't know. And no one cared about it. So it's interesting to me. I don't think it's going anywhere. Like I think it's so solidified now in the zeitgeist. I think there's so much money into it. I think that so many like big creators and people with big money are into it. Like I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't know if that's sustainable. Like, hopefully it is. I hope it's successful, because if One Piece can be successful, then that creates like a roadmap for all this other stuff like Riftbound or DBZ or Naruto or whatever to be successful. So like, I don't know. Like I'm hopeful for it for sure. It's so hard for me to get my mind out of like 2023 when like, as cool as this stuff is, no one cared. And I think it's tough, like the same way that people haven't, if they've only been here for a little bit with Pokemon, they can't see anything outside of like number go up. I think it's the same way with like a lot of this alternative TCG stuff. It's like, when Pokemon is in a bear market, you can still make like really good money. Like you can still make really good money. People still want PSA 10s. When any of these other TCGs are in a bear market, you're dead. Like you're not selling anything. And you're sending stuff to James and he's auctioning it, and you'd be lucky if you get a bid on any of these cards. So like that's the thing that scares me. Like I want to have fun. I want to engage with stuff outside of Pokemon. I just like can't get the to the name of the podcast, like Price Memory Podcast. Like I can't get those memories out of my head of like just how dark all this like really cool stuff was 3 years ago. And so is it changed forever just because of like where we are with the industry and the trading card industry? Or is it just because there's so much money sloshing around that it just has happened to find its way into this other stuff? Like I have no idea. Like I genuinely don't know. And
well, do you know what, like on that sort of like tangent, as we've talked about, like I think a lot of the Pokemon graded market at the moment is being propped up by these gambling companies. I think that's pretty clear. I think that's pretty widely accepted, and you can see the reasons why that makes sense. They need inventory. They don't care what they have to buy prices at, because they're going to price it at 5% higher in their repack, and then forever churn off that same piece of inventory profit. Like I think a lot of it's held up by that. I think a lot of the One Piece staying power, and this is nothing to do with the IP or anything like that. All of these companies are now, over the last 6 months, I've noticed they've all started offering repack, like blind bags, mystery packs for One Piece now. They've got a One Piece themed one. I don't know if like Galaxy do it, but I know like 2 or 3. Well, GameStop do. GameStop brought out One Piece power packs. The one in Australia, they just released One Piece power packs, and so all these guys are just buying up now all the One Piece labs and all the One Piece sealed products, because they're able to put it, like repackage it into a different product, and it doesn't matter what the price is on it. Like have their entry point, and from then on, it is just they're just going to make continuous profits off that thing. So I wonder if a lot of the price being held up in One Piece as well now is because there's enough general interest in it from people who are buying these repacks that they can then now go and buy a One Piece repack, and I think that probably helps. I think that probably has helped stabilize the higher end of that market, because I don't know. I don't know. We saw 10, 20, 30, 50 X's on a lot of One Piece stuff. It was mid last year, the very first, I had a pre-errata, whatever it was, Shanks manga, BGS 10, the top chase card from the top set. I bought it for $400. Like, why 12 months ago was the biggest chase card from the first set in a BGS 10 $400? It doesn't make and then I bought that because I was going to send it to James and sell it for 600. I was going to have him list it and see if I could sell it. By the time it got to him, it was like $4,000. I sold it for like 3,700, and then the next sale was 9,800. Like, in the span of like 3 or 4 weeks. Like, that's how quick that run up was. And I don't know how much that market has retraced again. Probably a decent bit, but I wonder how much that big run up had brought people back. It brought renewed interest in the cards because it had more value, and that's just what brings people in. And maybe that then has solidified that industry a bit more now that all these bigger companies are seeing the interest and are able to buy up the assets and keep the market afloat. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, even like, and some of it might just be like lack of education, but like back when I was buying like the One Piece, the visual adventure boxes and the packs and stuff and opening them, like I was opening them to get the prisms because the prisms were the only thing that like held any sort of value. And so I was like, I'm trying to get these prisms in PSA 10, and all this non-hollow stuff is just like, okay, I can send these to, CGC and reduce my cost basis or whatever. But I used to sell CGC 10, CGC pristines for like $30 to $40 or something. And now I'm watching people pay for these like common cards that all 10, like I had such a high pristine rate. People are paying literally $500 to $1,000 for these cards that used to literally just be bulk. And I don't know if it's just like a lack of education or what, but it's like, yeah, I mean, these were $40 cards and now they're $1,000. Like, and I don't. So yeah, maybe it is they're being propped up. Maybe like the people they're going to are saying like, where are you going to find this? Because the average buyer of a power pack is going to have like no idea what visual adventure is, and they're going to see it. The art's cool, it looks vintage, and they're going to say like, oh, this must be valuable. You know what I mean? So
they don't even have to wonder if it's valuable. They're telling you we'll buy this back off you for 500. You don't need to wonder.
Yeah, literally.
Because they're saying we'll give you 500 for it. It does. That's the whole loophole with it. The stuff doesn't have to have value. If they're pricing that in on their algorithm at that price. It doesn't matter what the price is. If you're just going to accept the offer and sell it back, the price is literally irrelevant of what the card is. And that's all part of it, I think. But like, look, for example, that Shanks I was just talking about, as I said, it was selling for, in January, between $7,000 and $10,000. It's back at $2,000 now. That card has dropped 80% in the last 4 or 5 months. I'm seeing the exact same thing in Rickbound. As I said, there's like a GG Easy Teemo promo, bit of like a troll card. It's Teemo. It's got a foil in the background that says GG Easy. It was like $300 raw a couple of weeks ago. It sold today for $10,000 in a 10. Like, it has had the exact same trajectory as this card has had, and I bet you in 3 to 6 months from now, that card will be back down at $1,500 or $2,000. But that's when people who wanted it and saw it run up and run back down might have interest in it. They know it's an early promo, blah, blah, blah. But I think we're going to see the exact same thing. I think we're going to see a huge run up, and then obviously, because it's the alternate TCG, 80% corrections are so common across all these chase cards in modern sets in high grade. I think if you go in with mentality to expect that, I think that's how you can kind of weather the storm. I think if you go into this thinking that it's going to 20x and then stay there, and then you go, what happened? Like, it's all dead. I think that's the danger point.
Well, it's almost easier to buy alternative TCGs because there is no like 10% drawdown with Pokemon where you're like, oh, like, do I buy it now or should I wait for another 10% drawdown? With an alternative TCG, like you said, it loses like 80%. Like, it hits rock bottom and they will sit, and sellers will get desperate and they'll send out offers and they'll discount stuff over and over and over until it finally sells. And then they'll put it on auction and it'll sell for a super dark price. And 5 people are even interested in buying that card. So like, you're not bidding against it. And that's when you pick stuff up if you believe in it and if you're interested. And I've been trying to do that with like a lot of this like other vintage stuff I've been buying. But it just, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like maybe I just don't have the, I don't know. Like maybe I just don't have like the confidence, or like I'm just too scared after seeing like what can happen before. And like I personally, no matter, even if I could see a 20x off the bottom on a lot of this stuff, I don't want to wait 5 years for it. I'd rather just like turn my money over in Pokemon and Modern One Piece and just like make the easy money than like try to time the bottom on some of this other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. But
yeah. This is all with the caveat that this was absolutely money that I was happy to be dead money, that I didn't need to like reinvest back into active inventory, things like that. So it's just,
well, you're already in the money. You're already in the money on it. Need a corporate Mundo. If they make a corporate Mundo promo, I will back the truck up for sure. I love corporate Mundo. That's a great skin for sure. All right, I think we beat this one to death a little bit. I think a good segue here is talking about the the summer slowdown, the market crash, everything going to zero, everything going to MSRP in Pokemon. I'm gonna let you start this one off. I'm gonna grab some water really quick, but what do you think about what's happening right now in the Pokemon market? Are you buying the dip? Do you suggest that people buy the dip? What's your sort of macro outlook on what's happening right now? I'll be right back.
No worries. I think that everything that we've seen, how everything's played out, is exactly how everyone should have assumed it was going to play out. And I think it's been talked about. I think we've seen this exact cycle in a while. We have a bunch of sets that release that are hype. It kind of props the market up. You see there's new releases from Surging Sparks. From Surging Sparks, you had a really good run of sets. Like you had some really hyped sets. Each set was more hyped than the last. Each set came out higher price than the last. And then people are saying, what is going to slow this market down? It's going to take 2 to 3 mediocre sets in a row. And I think that is literally exactly what has played out. I think if you weren't expecting this to happen, then like I would take this as a learning opportunity to refocus and like reframe what you expected to happen and then kind of like calibrate from that. These last Perfect Order, Chaos Rising, and now Pitch Black, like they all have 1 or 2 really cool chase cards in it. I know people always say like, oh, Greninja's a fan favorite Pokemon, Darkrai's a fan favorite Pokemon, Perfect Order. I don't even remember who was that. Was that Zygarde?
I don't know about Darkrai. I don't know about Darkrai. I think Ninja is a fan favorite Pokemon, but no, Perfect Order was dark. It was Zygarde. Remember in like Meowth and stuff, and Mega Clefable, super dark. Not a good set. Not a good set.
So exactly, I think what is happening at the moment is people got burnt out from like 10 sets in a row that were releasing at $300 on release day. All the chase cards were really good, like Phantasmal, insane chase card. Destin, I don't personally like Destin, but I know a lot of people love that set and love the chase cards from that. There was a lot of good sets in there. I think seeing boxes of these 3 modern sets, people, if you're opening a box and you pull that Darkrai and you don't really, I would say the majority of people don't care about Darkrai, you're going to sell that immediately. And that's exactly what we've seen. We've seen the chase card absolutely plummet because people would rather have something else than that. And I think all that does is drag down the price of the box and then kind of drags down the average price of like everything in the last couple of sets, in my opinion. Nothing that has happened in the last 6 months waiting for this kind of market shift is surprising to me whatsoever. Are you surprised by anything? Like all we're seeing is the price on modern chases and modern sets kind of recalibrate down a bit because I think people are burnt out. People haven't been excited about the last 4 months worth of sets. People are having a breather. People are saving their money for 30th. And that kind of just calms everything down. And then people say, a few people start losing interest. They're just going to sell their stuff. And that's what pushes the price down. I think that's exactly what we're seeing. I'm not seeing, even though we're seeing prices across the board come down, I'm not seeing any big opportunities in Pokemon, as in like longer term buys personally. I think those opportunities of getting good promos and cards to grade, that never changes. You might lose a bit of premium if you like buy the Darkrai now and send it off for grading and that 10 price might come down or whatever. That is all pretty standard. But I'm not seeing any huge opportunities personally in the market. outside of like the typical churning of cheap cards in plastic. Are you like? I'm assuming you're not surprised by anything that's happening. Are you seeing any realistic opportunity for plays outside of the
We both
normal?
know there's no opportunity
No.
in the market for our market right now. No, well, also to like the point that we just spent an hour talking about, like there's a ton of money in all these other TCGs. Like money is going into Riftbound and Magic and Lorcana and One Piece and DBZ and like all this other stuff. Like there's money elsewhere, right? And like even random stuff like the Naruto Kaiju stuff is selling for like crazy prices, right? And these free PSA promos are selling for I don't know $400 or $500 in the PSA. Like there is so much money going to like all this other stuff right now that I think that like money's just moving around a little bit. And I to your point about like it's unsustainable for stuff to come out at like $300 every single time a set comes out. Like yeah, I agree with that. Like money's not infinite. It's not that these sets aren't good. I mean, Perfect Order sucked, but like I think Pitch Black is like pretty good. Like I like the Slowbro AR. I like the Ampharos one from Chaos Rising. And like I think the Pokemon sets are decent. I just think that like yeah, I don't know. Like there's only so many releases that can come out quarterly and people pay $250 a box on. I think looking back on this stuff, I think like 3 to 5 years from now, we're going to look back on the Mega era as like one of the best eras in the past like 10 years easily. Like the cards are so nice, the arts are insane. It's a lot of fan favorite Pokemon. I think they're producing like some of the best stuff that they've pumped out honestly since like I've been back into the hobby. Like I like this era a lot more than Scarlet and Violet, probably more than Sword and Shield. Like I think this is the best stuff that they've produced since I've been back in the hobby, honestly. And I think it's going to age really well. I just think that people have wallet fatigue. People are getting interested in like other TCGs and stuff like that. And a lot of these prices were just nuts. Like Ascended had pretty good print quality. So there's no reason for a Pikachu standing in a forest to be $5,000. It's not even like an exclusive Japanese promo. It's like a set card out of an English set. And it's pretty easy to hit. And it's pretty easy to grade because the print quality is good now on English stuff. So like that kind of stuff doesn't really surprise me. But I do think that like some of this stuff has dipped. Like 151 bundles, I think we're getting offered those for like $160 or something right now. That seems pretty cheap to me. That's under $30 a pack. Like that kind of stuff, like the older, really juice sealed product getting like not destroyed, but like coming down like a decent percentage, like that kind of stuff is more attractive to me than maybe buying like the new next hottest thing or whatever. And I'm sure there's a lot of people scared right now. So like if you're looking to accumulate like sealed product or something like that, I'd be putting buy posts out on Instagram, buying at 75%, buying at 80%, and picking stuff up while people are scared. Because not only are you buying it at like a local low, you're buying it at a percentage of a local low on top of that. So I think it's a really good time to be buying. And I've been like stagnant. Like I haven't really been buying like any sealed for the past couple months, but I'm probably going to start buying again. Like I've started like nibbling here and there. Cause like, I just see this stuff and it's like, this is out of print. This is too cheap. Like, sure, I'll buy more of this. Like if you guys are scared, like I'll buy more of this and I'll sit on it. I haven't sold anything. I don't know. I'm not super scared about it. I just think that it's like, yeah, it's unsustainable to be paying these prices consistently. But yeah, I don't know. I think right now, like if you're the kind of person that's been saying like, oh yeah, like it's unsustainable and the market's headed for a cool off and all this sort of stuff, like, all right, here it is. What are you going to do about it? Like you've been yapping for 2 years about this, talking about how like, oh, the market's going to come down and this is unsustainable and people are shilling and pumping and dumping and blah, 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 all these excuses. Like, okay, here's your opportunity. Are you going to buy? Like, are you going to take action? Because like now is the time to take action, I would argue. Not on everything, but like on a lot of stuff that is maybe overcorrecting and caught up in the like overall fear. I think like now is probably a good time to be buying. And maybe it takes a year or 2 years to recover and for you to see like any sort of like meaningful percentage gain. But like with the way things have been, maybe by Christmas you're up 50%, 100% on a lot of this stuff, especially the stuff that's like either out of rotation or heading to out of rotation. Yeah,
I think once everyone gets their fix on the 30th and either invests enough or opens enough or blah blah blah, and that pool of money that's been waiting for the 30th, which is real. Like there's going to be a lot of people that are waiting to be able to buy as much as they can. I think once that moves on, I think that's when you're going to either see from that point, are then people going to come back in and then put their money in these other things, or is the interest going to kind of fade off? I think I don't know what's going to happen after 30. I think it could go either way. I think you could see another sort of cycle up, but I could very easily see a similar kind of prolonged for like wallet fatigue for a year or two. Like I don't know. Like we don't know what's going on. What have we been showing? We've been 30th and we've got a Rayquaza set and stuff like that. So things could very quickly change. But I think if you are looking to buy now, again, it's not just buy what's cheap. I think you still need to make sure that you're buying the right thing. Don't go buying a bunch of pitch black collection boxes where you're paying 130% of market for the packs because you're getting a 12-cent promo in it, things like that. So I think you still got to be smart. I remember, was it probably a year and a half ago, I just bought stuff because it was cheap. Like I bought Crimson Haze booster boxes and Rural Black Flame booster boxes and all these sorts of things just because they were the cheapest, rather than maybe buying more VSAR Universe of like a more premium product that was more expensive at the time. I mean, saying that, Crimson Haze booster boxes here are like $150 now. So
I think percentage wise, you actually probably did better, especially on the Ruler of the Black Flame. That's almost like 150. I think I'm wholesaling that for like 140 or something right now. And at one point that was what, like a $40 box or something. So you've almost like 4x your money on that. So
yeah. So correct. So I think two ways: either 30th under prints and we just continue on with the FOMO, or they dump it like always. People get bored and quit. That's kind of what we saw with Celebrations. There was a massive hype going up to it. They dumped as much as they could, and people got bored of it very set. I think it's a very, very, very different case. Like Celebrations was such a small set, you could get bored of Celebrations very quick. I think the 30th, looking at the leaks, I think 30th is easily the best set that's ever been made. Like the most well-rounded, complete set that's ever been made. I think it hits the most collectors of any set ever. And I don't even know that's disputable. Like, do you have,
I mean, if the full arts are real, like if the two Pikachu full arts are real, those are insane. Those are almost like Champions Festival art with like where it's like Pikachu in the center and then it's got all the Pokemon around him. Like those look insane. There's a Gengar EX that looks insane. If all those are real, then like yeah, I agree with you. And I saw like that
Pikachu's and then the classic collection. Like, yeah, people like to crap on like the reprints and stuff like that, but look at classic, look at Celebrations Charizard and Umbreon and those sorts of cards. Like, there is still so much demand for them now at 20 times the price that they were a year ago. There is more demand for them now.
This is crazy, dog.
Oh, Jesus.
This is crazy, bro. Shouts out to Wee. Like, I remember he came into a live, like, I don't know, this is years ago, and he just dropped like the most iconic sentence. He was like, "Fundies mid, market is irrational, just do whatever." Like, that was the best sentence of all time. Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're still
do you know Flex God was the first channel that when I first got back into cards that the algo pushed me. I think they had like 110 subscribers or something, and he just picked up a collection that had like a bunch of gold stars in it or whatever. He was like showing videos of how he flipped it and stuff. Yeah, I think Flex Gods was like the first one or two YouTube channels I ever subscribed to in the Pokemon space. It's crazy.
He was ahead of his time too, because he was doing Pokemon and sports and knew both and knew both markets really well and would like trade into one and out of the other and stuff like that. I tried to get into sports multiple times and I just like didn't have the mental capacity to really you know what I'm cooked on. I sold all reverse stamps too early. Yeah,
dude, like this guy like 10 like 3 or 4 English gold stars of like the EXT Rocket Returns one. Oh god. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm sure he's watching this from his mansion somewhere. But yeah, it's I don't know, like to your point too about the 30th stuff, like I think it is nuts. I do think though that people over-index on the fact that it was like they printed so much Celebrations and forget about like what was going on in the world at that time. Like we were coming out of like this worldwide crazy virus where like everybody was stuck inside and people were getting, at least in the United States, like people were getting free money from the government to spend on whatever they wanted, and they had nothing else to do for 2 years other than like sit inside and enjoy nostalgia and, you know, placate themselves with buying their childhood, right? And all of a sudden, like things started opening up again, and people could go to restaurants and concerts and you know, movie theaters, and like all the stuff that people were used to doing like became accessible again. So it wasn't like, oh well, Pokemon dropped so much product on the market that people became disinterested. It was like, dude, people were only interested in Pokemon for 2 years, and now like the rest of their lives like became accessible again, right? And then on top of that, they printed a ton of like Shining Fates that was like sitting on store shelves. I remember for a while too. So I don't know how much of it was like, oh, okay, well, people are not hyped anymore because the 30th came out and now like the hype is dead. And how much it was like, you know, sort of like the macro conditions of what was going on in the world. I don't know. Like I feel like they're gonna come out with the 30th, and it's gonna be hype, and they're hopefully gonna print like a decent amount of it. Prices are gonna be nuts. Rayquaza set is going to come out here in 11 days or 10 days in Japanese. Prices for that are higher than anything that I've seen since like Rocket, and actually might be higher than Rocket. Like right now, people in Japan are trying to get like almost $200 a box. And like I don't put pre-orders up on wholesale to 2 to 3 days before release. But if a Japanese set in this like, you know, slowdown, summer slowdown, retrace, whatever people are calling it, is coming out, and we don't even have a leak of the chase card, and the Pokemon that have been leaked are dark. Like they are not good Pokemon. Like the other Pokemon in the set are boof. Like it is not, it's not like this crazy set like Evolving Skies where it's like Rayquaza and all this other stuff. It's like it's hopefully like a nice Rayquaza chase card, and then a bunch of boofy Pokemon that no one cares about.
And it's a standard set, isn't it? It's a standard box.
Yeah, yeah, it's a mainline set. So I think that's going to come out. It's going to do fairly well. It's going to be expensive. And again, if people are willing to pay those prices, like that to me shows that there's still hype. Like I do think a lot of people are saving money for the 30th to back the truck up, go all in. But you know, like if this set is pre-ordering for those kinds of prices, I think that says something. So that's going to come out. We'll see how that does. Then the 30th comes out, and then the Rayquaza set's going to come out in English after that. And then, you know, like we have like supposedly like some, you know, some specialty set that's going to come out usually around Thanksgiving in November for Japanese. And that's going to be nuts, right? Like I think that's the second mega specialty set. And if we're on track for what they've been doing for the past 6 years, this could like theoretically be like a shiny set, because they usually do a shiny set every 2 years. So if we get like shiny Rayquaza, shiny Mega Gengar, shiny Mega Dragonite, like all this stuff, like that could be nuts, you know. I think I don't know. I think the hype continues. I just think that there's a little wallet fatigue right now. I like, even like me as somebody that like, you know, does like the sealed investing and stuff like that. Like nothing has been super attractive for a while. I take stuff where I can get it when it's like a really good deal. I try to like buy as much of it as possible. Everything that I get from distribution, I'm setting back, with the exception of Perfect Order. I dumped like all that at release, and I'm happy I did, obviously, because prices have come down since then. But like everything else, the Chaos Rising, the Pitch Black, all that stuff is going in storage. I add it to a spreadsheet and I stick it in storage. I'm not trying to sell it right now. I'm not tripping on it. I think it's going to appreciate, but nothing is super attractive right now, and it's difficult. It's difficult to buy boxes at like $250, because like to get to $500 a booster box takes 2 to 3 years. So the idea that like I could like only double my money, I know that sounds like so, but like only double your money in like 2 to 3 years is like, it's not really super attractive. So I've been putting a lot of like my money into the stock market and other things, just because it's hard right now to find any like really good like long-term investing opportunity in Pokemon. You know, I don't know. So
not even just wallet fatigue, just general fatigue. This market has been on for 18 months, and there hasn't been an opportunity to take a breather, because there has been so much opportunity that I think it's actually like people are just like, let's chill out. Like they know that 30 is coming. They know the Rayquaza set's coming. They know there's another special set coming. Like it is just I think a lot of people have just taken the opportunity to have a step back and have a breather, which I think is really like healthy, obviously. But as you said, like, do we know in English, is the Rayquaza set coming first, or is 30th coming first?
30th, because 30th comes out in September, the middle of September. I want to say September 16th is the release date, and supposedly like all the countries are releasing at the same time. So it should be Rayquaza set, or it should be Rayquaza set in Japanese, then 30th, then English, and I think Gem 6 is supposed to come out in Chinese. And I mean, that's another thing too, is like even within Pokemon, money is going different places, right? Like the new Terrastal set came out not that long ago. Those boxes, I think I'm still selling on eBay for like close to $100 a box. And it's crazy because Terrastal in Japanese is like 150, you know? And so the Chinese version is selling for close to the Japanese version. And the only thing it really has is that exclusive Sylveon. The Rocket set just came out on Friday, so like I have those up on the website for wholesale. The box looks really nice. It's a combination of Journey Together, Heat Wave, and Gloria Team Rocket, like all in one Chinese set. The box looks sick. It's got Giovanni and Mewtwo on it, so like that's taking up money. I'm sure that'll sell well. So yeah, and to your point about fatigue in general, like I felt fatigue, and like I'm sure you felt fatigue and burnout like plenty of times. Like I'm super passionate about this stuff, but even like when I would spend days just going demon mode, like learning all this information about like niche promos or a dead TCG or whatever, like I would get kind of burnt out, and like I wouldn't want to think about cards, and I would like try to completely disconnect from cards for like 2 or 3 days, and a lot of people are new to this market, and 1 to 2 years of being like absolutely slammed with news every single day about One Piece and Lorcana and Pokemon and all this stuff, like that's a lot, like that's a lot for people to, I don't know, sort of deal with. So maybe that is part of it, is people are just like a little burnt out and fatigued. They're just like, all right, enough already. And it's a lot of like negativity as well, right? Like there's negativity in the news and like, all this sort of stuff. So maybe people are just like a little burnt out and are like, hey, I need a break. And summer's a good time for people to take breaks and just sort of like go outside and touch grass a little bit. But yeah, I don't know.
That's why like this week as a break, it's been more euphoric. So I found something new and I learned something new and I was completely disconnected from. It felt very different than the normal cards. These are the cool cards I play with now, not the normal cards that I'm playing with every day. So it was a bit of fun to disconnect, which is I think is very common. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That is a good way. Is like when you're super bored or feeling burnt out, try to find something that is new and fresh and interesting, and that can sort of like revitalize you a little bit. Okay, last thing before we get into the commandments and the make the case, optimization. So like now, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, I think last episode, but like times like this are a good time to sort of like take a look at what you're doing, take a look at your business, take a look at your inventory, and make the needed changes when things like are a little bit slower, because maybe you have like more time or whatever. So have you been doing anything recently to sort of like optimize your business? I mean, I guess I know you have with the raw store and things like that, but is there any like organization or optimization that you've been doing, or any tips you can kind of give people watching?
Yeah, the last sort of month or two, it's been less. I've been doing like what I can, like reorganizing my inventory, like recounting everything I've got, like putting it in places, knowing exactly what I've got, where I've got. Just genuinely like tidying up, getting all that kind of stuff that I've been shoving in boxes and corners, and figuring out what to do with it so I can get rid of all the junk, as we always talk about. Honestly, not. I think I will come into doing more optimization business wise. I need to look at my shipping rates, see if I can get my suppliers cheaper, see if I can organize partnerships or sponsorships with other things that I'm constantly doing, see if I can talk to eBay reps and get rates down, see if I can. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I know I need to do. There's things where I'm getting charged, like I have like CapCut or all these different subscriptions that I'm getting charged every month. It's like, I'll just deal with that when I've got time. Like these are the kind of things that I need to, because I looked the other day and we just swapped from using, like we use Australian Post here, where before we did eBay Live, you could just export my eBay orders to this other website and I get them like 10 to 15% cheaper. And now with Live, it's not as easy to do. So we've swapped back to using like the eBay labels, which is costing me, I think I looked it up. If we average 600-700 orders a week, it's cost me like 40 grand a year to use this slightly more expensive shipping label. And so like I need to look into that, because I could potentially save myself tens of thousands of dollars a year by re-optimizing my shipping label. And that's something I just genuinely need to do at some point. So I think hopefully in the next coming weeks and months, I still feel like I need a bit of a break, and I have been working a lot less. I've pretty much the last month or last 6 weeks, I've pretty much only been doing my 2 streams. I haven't pre-graded a card in probably 3 months. I just have really been buying the stuff that I think are good buys and putting them aside. Like I've got 700 prismatic ETB promos, the EV. I just keep getting offered them. I'm like, a good price, I'll take them. I'm not going to action that right now. I can't send the PSA right now. I'm not going to open them all and pre-grade them all and do that sort of stuff. I probably should. I've still been doing the stuff that I should, but I've really been hands off because I've needed a break. I'm just fatigued. Like I need a break, and I don't feel like I'm missing a lot of opportunity right at this second by not still being like foot on the pedal. So definitely business things I need to optimize in terms of like where my costs are going. Like I've got my overhead right now is probably 20, 30, 40x of what it was 6 months ago. So I've got more employees, I've got more subscriptions, I've got more suppliers, I've got all these different things. So really need to hone in kind of what's going out and maybe seeing if I can figure out that sort of stuff like that adds up over time. Like if I, as I said, like I've never had a credit card with like rewards points. If I was doing that constantly and racking up all these things, spending millions and millions of dollars, those are the type of things that you need to figure out, because it's very easy to go, like I've missed it for the last 5 years. What's the point of doing it now? But then, in 10 years time, you'll be like, damn, I wish I had spent $1,000 a year less on bubble mailers, because it adds up and it compounds. Like the point is that it compounds a lot. So yeah, I just want to go to Japan and eat some ramen and walk around the stores and listen to the train sounds.
Yeah, Lacey's been bugging me for the past couple of weeks that we need to book. I have all those like travel points sitting, so I need to book Japan for October ASAP. I'll definitely let you know when we get the dates locked in and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like optimization is important, and like I made a video a while ago kind of talking about like how little things that you can do. Like you don't even need to make more money. You can just optimize things that you're doing, and that will make you more money. Like you said with the bubble mate, like none of this stuff is sexy. Like you're not going to get 20,000 views on a video by telling people like, hey, maybe you should check out the shipping supplies that you're using and see if you can find like a comparable version that's like slightly cheaper. Or if you buy them in bulk, can you save, 5% on them? So it's, like a lot of that stuff, especially like when you get to doing business at a high level, it does become that kind of stuff that you have to do to meaningfully sort of like move the needle on your business. Recently, I bought like 250 of those Gengar decks, and they came in, and I just like threw them in a corner. Basically, like I got them, and I was like, oh yeah, like that'll be good at some point. But then the other day, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, okay, well, like we're selling through these Haunters pretty good. We're selling through the Gengars pretty good. Like, why am I not cracking these decks and pre-grading, 20 decks a week kind of thing in perpetuity until these are gone, sending this stuff off for grading and like monetizing that stuff like right now? Like, why am I waiting, basically? So I have tons of boxes of just like random stuff that I bought because I was like, I'm going to grade this in bulk at some point. So I just need to start accumulating this stuff so I can get like ahead of it. But I've let it sit there, and I bought it to like, grade in mass, and I've just let it sit there. Like I haven't taken it out. I haven't pre-graded it and all that sort of stuff. So I've started doing that to sort of like work through the backlog a little bit and clean up on a lot of that stuff. Just to sort of like get it out of the house. Plus, like we're looking to, buy another house and like move sooner than later. So having all this like extra stuff that I don't need in the house is just kind of like pointless. But like, I knew it's so funny, man. Like so many people, when I was like, okay, like, hey guys, I have a website now. So many people were like, oh, you finally made a website like I told you to. And I'm like, yep, it was your idea. It was your thank you so much. Like I've not been thinking about this since the day I started doing wholesale, right? But like it's always something I knew I needed to do. But like as the business got bigger and bigger and scaled more and more and more, it became harder to take the time out to think about like porting it over to something else. Like the bigger the ship gets, like the harder it is to turn, right? I knew that it needed to be optimized. I showed my buddy who helped me build the website, like what I was doing on the back end to take orders and keep track of everybody's information and spreadsheets and all that sort of stuff. And he was like, dude, this is a nightmare. And even when I was like going through and like showing him, I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is actually, it's like, this is, and now that I am taking stuff through the website, I'm just like, dude, you were an idiot for doing it for this long. But again, like, I just didn't have the time to sit there until I made the time to like sit and optimize it. And now I'm like super happy I did. But now I have some of my time back and I need to go through these things. The other thing I'll say too is when you get to a point to where like we're talking about burnout a little bit, when you feel like you're not feeling anything at all, and you're like, I need to feel something here, I need to do something that I'm passionate about. Sometimes, like, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but like sometimes I will start making dumb decisions. I'll start doing dumb stuff because I'm like, I need to throw money at something. I'm letting cash sit. I hate letting cash sit. I have too much cash sitting. Let me throw it at something, and I start doing dumb stuff. Like, I'll buy something and I get it in, and I'm like, why did I buy this? This is going to take like way more work to monetize than I'm willing to put in, or like, you know what I mean? Like, that is like, have you done that? Have you run into that before, where you just like start throwing money and stuff, and you're like, dude, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I mean, like, though, that actually
Yes.
like might pan out, but like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I've run into that so much recently, because before, like 2 to 3 months ago, it was easy. It was like, oh, I'm getting offered like Pokemon Seal product at a good price. I'm gonna buy a ton of this. I'm gonna, buy pallets and pallets of this stuff every month and just set it back because the prices make sense. We're in like a market where things are appreciating quickly. I have a good amount of buffer room, but like, it hasn't been that way. And so now I'm just like, yeah, I've been making like a lot of stupid decisions and buying stuff that I shouldn't be buying, and sort of like, which creates more work for me than it needs to, and ends up like wasting more of my time. So I've kind of been like running into that a lot lately too. But now that I have the website, like I do want to like take YouTube more seriously and spend more of my time like funneling people like to the website, making content, building a brand on social media, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I don't know, like, hopefully that will sort of like pay dividends and be good for the brand for sure. But I have let things get a little too loose on the back end for sure. Like, I've let things get like, I used to be so optimized with all my inventory and like have a purpose for like literally everything that I had in inventory. And over the past few months, I've totally let that slip. And even though it's not going to impact me as meaningfully as it would like where my business was at 3 years ago, it's still the wrong behavior. And so like the other day, you sent me a picture of like, you bought all those 5 rows and you had everything labeled and you had all your promos sorted, and you like, I need to go through and do that. Like, I have none of that. I have a bunch of stuff sitting in boxes that is not efficient. That's not going to fly. You know what I mean? So like, when you sent me that stuff, I was like, oh, that's like kind of inspiring. Like, I need to get on it. Like, I've let things get like way too out of hand. Yeah, I've just been ranting, but hopefully
No,
this
yeah.
makes sense.
The hard part is that realistically there is always something to do. Like, there is a 0% chance that you could wake up and go, I got nothing to do today, this morning. Like, there is always something that can be done, even if it's not like the most important thing, but there's something that can always be done. So it really is just, even if it's not the most important thing to do, I think it's important to just pick something and then do it until completion. Like, your website probably was the most important thing you could do, but like, you started that and now you finished it. Maybe your next thing is I'm going to open up every single, like, pre-grade every single promo that is potentially gradable in the house. Just like make that a task and do that. And then when that task is done, like, it feels really good. Like, an optimization I did last week is, we've been doing this single store for 6 weeks now. Like, now we're in a good rhythm of, he's coming in 4 times a week. He's doing that, and he was fulfilling. It's like, oh, I think I'm fulfilling really slow. And I've done the fulfillment once, and Casey's done the fulfillment a few times, and it's been like, no, it is just generally slow. Like, the room wasn't set up right, and so I gutted the room. I pulled all the desks out. I took all the 5 rows out. Took all the chairs. I redid everything, gave it a nice big cleanup, and thought about, okay, sat with him. I was like, what's the best way to now lay this room out? So we set up like a shipping station, and then next to the shipping station, like perpendicular, is the shelves of all the 5 rows. We set the shipping station out properly, and then we set his desk with the scanner and all that sort of stuff. We just redid the whole room, and it's like, oh, now it feels a lot better. And yes, like, I spent a day doing that, but if this store is going to be going for the next 5 years, like, him being able to pick orders and fulfill orders half an hour quicker every day, like, that's not directly affecting me. I guess, like, financially, it probably is because I'm paying for his time, but like, that's just, it's like, cool, that's done now. That was nice. That's better. Like, that was a really good optimization that we made. Like, that's not a sexy thing, redoing a room, but it is fine. Just find something that isn't working and fix it. Like, I guess, a lot of these things where I'm definitely not buying the cheapest bubble mailer, but I've been buying the same one every time. Every time I get lower, I just go to purchase history and buy again and buy 50 more. Like, yes, I might be losing $50, but it's like, for me not to have to think about that again, it's just like cool. I just do that. But you know, as soon as I find, once you've replaced that with a better way of doing it, like again, it's just rinse and repeat. So yeah, just finding little
As
things
soon as that store though, like to your point about like fixing the shipping station, as soon as that store starts like trucking though, and you have like an insanely busy day, that's when you're immediately going to realize like this was so important to do. Like you're going to be happy. Like sorry to cut you off, but like as
no, yeah.
you're going to be so happy you did that.
Yeah, and it's not even me doing it. Like I'm not touching it. I'm not touching the listing or the filling in that store. That is literally just third party, basically, to me. But I know that he came to me and said it feels slow. Like what can we do? And then we just redid it all, and now it's like okay, cool. Now it feels better. It mightn't be like significantly faster, but it feels better. And I think having things feel better, like me having all my promos in, like I know this box, this 5 row is this promo, this 5 row is this promo, like all my Riftbound seals here, my Pokemon seals here, my loose packs of streams here. Like, just I gutted the garage, I gutted the workshop, I went to like our storage unit, reorganized the storage unit, like did all that sort of stuff. And the gain for it probably isn't huge, but just like the mental gain on feeling more organized was nice. Like it was like I finished it the day, I was like, yeah, good. Like it looks clean, it looks fresh. Like I'm happy.
Feng shui is real, bro. Feng shui is real.
Yeah.
And like the biggest thing you can do, like this is going to sound like business YouTube guy guru stuff, but like if you are a high performer, it doesn't matter what business you're in. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete. It doesn't matter. Like if you're a high performing business owner, freeing up mental capacity and having like good mood and mental clarity is the most plus EV thing you can do. Like when you have mental clarity, when you have excess mental capacity, that's when you can like execute like a monster. That's when you have these sort of like quiet moments in your head because everything's not cluttered and you're not like, racing to catch up and like do the things that need to be done. That's when you have your best ideas. That's when you have like, oh, well, this could 2x the business from here, or this could be another like 6-figure opportunity, right? Like when you're so bogged down with all this like clutter and BS and stuff, like you can't execute effectively, So like that mental capacity, it's an intangible, but it's super important.
Yeah.
So, really quick, Mason said shipping to rural locations is absolutely brutal now. Sometimes a $3 additional fee. Yeah. So I actually experienced this the first time today on eBay. Lacey was like, hey, like what's going on? Like it's costing like $8 to ship to Michigan. And I'm like, oh, like maybe eBay's just glitching. So she tried some other orders and they didn't have like that same charge. And then like all of a sudden she went back and it was still charging $8. So like it must just be like a rural delivery type thing. But like $8 now to like deliver to certain addresses is pretty nuts, especially when people are only buying like a box of Gem 4 or something like that. That's kind of dark. So any final things on optimization, or should we move into the commandment?
Yeah, let's move in.
All right. Commandment 5, ignore the noise. I'll let you start with this one, but all I will say is I spent my first 2 years in the hobby listening to a lot of noise. I spent the next year unlearning 99% of that noise. And for the past like 3 years, like, business has been booming. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, I guess noise, is realistically, it all comes around to the content that's surrounding you and the people you talk to and like what people are saying. Nothing has fundamentally, I think I said this before, like nothing has fundamentally changed in the last 6 months. Except like price change. That is the only thing that's changed. Like nothing that the Pokemon company has done, nothing that any of these spaces have done as fundamentally negatively changed how we expect like the Pokemon market to operate going forward. I think is what we talk about is a lot of just fatigue and predictable. This is very predictable market cycles. Everything that's kind of happened is exactly how at least I had predicted to happen. I thought it was going to happen 12 months ago. It's happening now, but this is exactly what we were expecting. And I had a plan. I've got a plan for the next sort of 6 to 12 months of what I expect to happen. And what I think the mindset you need to have is you had that plan. You had the conviction when things were good. You need to maintain that conviction when things seem negative. If you're now looking at, you're worried now that something's gone down, like you're going to start searching for negative content. You're going to start seeing more negative content. The algo is going to start pushing you more noise. Like when things are bad, the algo pushes you noise because it is like reaffirming what's going on, and you're looking for like reasons why. You're looking for like the next. You're looking to be told what to do next, and I think that all of that is just the noise. Like if you've come into this cycle and you've learned something and you had conviction and you are wanting to do something, like you should really try and stick to that. And it's very hard. Like I get sucked in. I still watch videos of stuff of like why I know exactly what I'm going to get when I click into this thumbnail with this creator. I know exactly what I'm getting, but I still get sucked into it sometimes and watch it. And I watch it and I go, okay, cool. That was literally nothing burger. All I did was waste 15 minutes of my brain space listening to this. Like that's the sort of stuff you need to really have discipline with and try and avoid. Like, yeah, that's like the main. To me, when I say ignore the noise, like that is really it. Don't let your mind change. Don't let your mental be swayed by what other people are saying. Like if you are confident, if you've got conviction in something, and it might be conviction the opposite way. You might think that if your rationale is like you think that this could be a 2 to 3 year old, and your plan was, all right, I'm just going to sell on the way down and then learn and rebuild and stuff like that. Like you should really stick to just whatever you have learned, whatever you think is the right call, without like all this other external, influence, I guess.
So what would you tell somebody that is maybe in a position to where they are either like new to the space or they're like a smaller business and they are scared right now, right? Like their products are going stagnant. A lot of products are like going down and seeing like, fairly significant retraces. A lot of slabs are seeing fairly significant retraces. And like this person is scared and they're not entirely sure like what to do moving forward. Like what would you tell that person? Because that person is probably 85% of people interacting in the space right now. I would think.
Really, I guess depends on the situation. Like if you're a brand new person that's come in the last 12 months and quit your job and try to do this full time, and you're sitting on 50% of your liquidity is in like modern stuff that is stagnant or down, like that's a really hard one to answer because I think it really does depend. But you're just talking like generally, 85% of people who, or even just like maybe low key investing with, spare funds that they had. I don't know how to answer that. I think they're just gonna have to, like, what did we do in this point? Say it's 2021, 2022 now. What were we doing? What were we thinking in this time?
Listening to a Cuban talk about chess and skateboarding.
I thought everything was. I thought everything was going to zero. I didn't think that the market could ever correct back up to the COVID highs. I genuinely did not think that was possible. Was that because I was listening to all these different people in the space talk about, they've seen all this before and there's no way that was super rationally exuberant. We never get back to that point again. Like you were like stupid if you're buying up there, all these sorts of things. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really tricky one to answer. I don't know how to answer that. Like, what would you? I would just go back to like what we said in the previous podcast. Is I would take a breather. You got to figure out what's important. Like, if this is your business now and you've quit your job and that sort of stuff, like, you just have to learn and pivot and find something else that works. I don't know. That's a tricky one. Like, how would you frame it? Because it's really hard now that like this doesn't meaningfully, like these sort of change, as we speak, it might be different in 6 or 12 months. It doesn't meaningfully affect what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis because, as I said, we've got different avenues and stuff like that to do business in. So it's really hard for me now to kind of give advice on what to do if I were in a different situation, because I can't feel how I would be in a different situation because I've never been in that situation. I guess it's always been a side thing that I understand is irrational and could change at any moment. Yes, I've always thought about it, but yeah, like what would you? I don't know. That's a tricky one. I don't have a good answer. Sorry.
I mean, I would say like I agree with you when you said like take a step back, like kind of like disconnect for a second and like, I mean, ignore the noise, right? But like I I think that so I was right where you are. I thought a window was like slowly closing and that it was just all like too good to be true. It was fun while it lasted, and we met a bunch of friends, we had a bunch of laughs in Discord and all that sort of stuff. We got to do this thing while COVID happened, and we all kind of like needed community and friends. But it was just kind of too good to be true, and it was over with, and everybody was going back outside. Prices came down, the euphoria died, and I thought the window was like slowly just going to close, and there was like eventually it was going to get to the point to where like there was no money left to be made, that there was still going to be collectors and people interested in the hobby, but to actually run a business and like make a reasonable income here like was not going to be a possibility. But to the point about ignoring the noise, like the reason I never stopped was because it never stopped working. Like it never stopped working that you could buy a card raw, and if it you put it in plastic and it graded a PSA 10, you could turn around, and liquidity might have been different back then and prices might have been different back then, but you could make a profit on it, and you could buy lots of cards and binders of cards and break them down and put the work in and get money out of that, and that never stopped working. And so that's what I would say right now is people are like, let's take perfect order, right? I don't know what boxes are. I think Alex put out like a video this morning or something, and I saw in the thumbnail it looks like I haven't seen it yet, but it looks like perfect order boxes are like 170 or 180 now, right? Again, historically, that's still an insane price for a booster box, especially for a set that week. But people are used to everything coming out between like 200 and 250, so that seems like a massive crash. And even for like that set, like that is like a what, I don't know, 20% correction or something like that. But you can still make money on perfect order. If you find a chase card Meowth at a show and you can send it to, you can probably still send it to PSA at $80 and make money and make a good amount of money grading that card. So again, it's like the noise, like, oh, the market's crashing because this box was 220 and now it's 180. And it's like, okay, can you still do the same things that you're doing right now? Can you go and buy cards and grade them and make money? Can you go vend your local show and buy it 80% and sell it 90 to 100%? Okay, then it doesn't matter that Chaos Rising is under $200 a booster box. And that's what I missed the first time, because I was looking at like, oh, first edition Charizard sold for 500,000 and now it's like $100,000, right? So it's down 80%. But again, new sets were coming out and you could buy Scarlet and Violet base ARs and put them in CGC plastic and sell them for a profit. And that's the best thing that I could say. Like no one knows what's going to happen next month, the next 3 months, 6 months, a year. No one knows what's going to happen. I have ideas, but like no one actually knows. But the only thing that you can control is like what is actually working. And so if you take a step back and you think about like, okay, what is actually working for me? What is still continuing to make me money and seems to be sustainable regardless of all these other external factors, and just double down on that, tunnel vision on that. And like that's really like the only advice that I could give, because that's what I did. Like I was scared too, like I was honestly kind of bummed, because I spent all this time and effort and energy, blood, sweat, and tears learning as much as I could, being a sponge for information, and I felt like I missed it. I watched all these other guys become millionaires, and I'm sitting here on the sidelines like, well, like fuck me. Like I got in 2 years late. I felt like an idiot, you know what I mean? And I was like, I put so much of my life and so much like of my mental capacity into like learning this market and becoming an expert in all these different spaces. And like, the market's down. So like, what a waste of time. Like I honestly felt like an idiot, but I just like didn't stop because it kept working. And so I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, does that make sense? Or
you basically explained exactly my exact same trajectory. Like we learned a lot during the initial uprise, and then I never stopped either. There was a lot of times where I was like, do I want to keep doing this? Like I've got a job. I just ignore. I'm just going to sell everything and continue on. But I just kept doing it because like I still had interest in scouring Macari and finding cool cards and hitting big, like the euphoria of like buying a card and like 20xing your money on a good grade on a hard card to grade or something. That never went away, and that actually only became like, because there was less people doing it, like that opportunity sort of came back again. So like I think you're going to see a lot of people like start getting flushed out of these easy plays, I guess. And then like that might breed more opportunity if you are still grinding and you know figuring out new things to do, like new avenues, stuff like that. Like I think you are going to see a lot more opportunity come up. Yeah, I agree. I went through the exact same trajectory, exactly what you like described, and I think the next, if you are new and you are worried and you are wondering what like the future is, if you are genuinely trying to build a brand, like keep at it. Like I don't think you're ever gonna. There's never gonna be a time when there's nothing to do. Like there always is something to do. Like, and I would find what you enjoy doing and keep repeating it and keep learning. Because if we both were down at the bottom and going, well, do we keep doing this? Like, what a waste of time. But because we kept going, I mean, like look now, like I would say we're both towards the high, like not the top of the hobby, but like we're both. I would say we're both industry experts in this space, and I think it's because we kept learning. We didn't ever stop. We found something new. We kept hoping that like things would pick up again, and I think and it did, and it paid off. And because of the dedication to what we were doing, I think it all kind of. And I think that goes for anything. Like if you are the one that keeps grinding and keep learning and keep building, and that's where I don't think there's many like super successful, well-respected people that are there because they kind of gave up and dropped out, sort of thing. I think it's
Well, to your point too about like more like people are getting flushed out breeding opportunity. It's like think about how many cards we were able to grade at $13 and get back in a month, and think about how many people dropped off before it ever got to that point, right? And the reason that PSA was able to grade at $13 and turn stuff around in a month at bulk was because no one was doing it, or very few people were doing it, right? And you could get cards back and you could still like compound your money and do all this sort of stuff. So like I think about that the next time. It's like if people start really like meaningfully dropping off and prices like meaningfully correct and people get scared, it's like great. Like that is going to open opportunities to grade cards with PSA, hopefully at like $15 again in bulk, and get them back in like reasonable time frames and stuff like that. And then if the market cycles again, people are going to look back and be like, oh, it was so easy for you because you could grade cards at $15. It's like you could have too. You know what I mean? You just had to stick with it. So it's tough. And I think part of the reason it's tough is because like this stuff is emotional, right? Like it's, especially if you have a lot of your money tied up in anything, like you can get emotionally attached to it. And to be a good investor, like you should not be emotionally attached to your investments, but it's maybe easier to disassociate from like the stocks or the bonds or the mutual funds that you're invested in or your 401k or whatever. It's a lot harder to disassociate from like trading cards and collectibles and things that you're passionate about, right? Like that is so much more difficult. And when you're really confident and positive on something and the entire zeitgeist of YouTube is not echoing that sentiment and prices are correcting, like that can be a punch to the gut for sure. And it can be hard to sort of like exist and kind of like find your place in that, just like in that environment. But I really think that you just kind of have to keep going as long as it keeps working. And that really is the only answer. Like that is the only way that like you're gonna make it out the other side. And it's so funny, like we're having this crazy existential conversation. Perfect Order is $170 a booster box. Like we're still like nowhere near like any actual darkness, but just like relative to what's been happening for the past like couple of years, it does seem like, oh, like is there a bit of weakness here? But
it's very easy to talk about. Like I have a very substantial, like this business is a very substantial part of like my net worth. And, it's only, it only is substantial because I obviously have been doing it full time now for sort of six years sort of thing. It's very easy to talk. Like if things, like if my entire inventory drops 50%, like I'm going to be sad. Like I'm going to feel stupid. I'm going to, in my back of my mind go, why didn't you sell everything in this stupid 2-year bull run? Why didn't you sell it at the top? Why'd you get greedy and hold on? But I'm hoping that the mentality of the last 18 months waiting for that opportunity, I'm going to be able to keep like business rolling. I'm going to be able to look for more opportunities. I'm going to sort of think about what's next and kind of chop and change with what's going on. Like I think right now streaming is like the biggest 80% of our revenue. If that gets like super saturated and it kind of really dies off, which I don't think it will, but like I will be able to pivot to something else. I think if that dies off, there might be opportunity somewhere else. So it's really just, I don't know. You have to be content with where you're at and what you're doing and try and ignore. It's not, I don't say, it's hard to say ignore all the noise. Like noise is important. It's weird. Like some of that is important to like keep up to date with what's going on and things like that. But if you're seeking out like negative content because you're in a negative space because maybe your business is dropping off or your inventory prices are dropping, like you just really have to find what is useful. Like find the useful noise is really the key part of it, and not just listen to any dribble.
Yeah, you gotta get. I mean, like even just like an overall, like regardless of market conditions, if you leave Discord, like if you delete Discord off your phone, delete Discord off your computer, I guarantee you will make 30% more money within like the first 3 months. It's like I get it, it's fun, it's amazing. I mean, dude, like we met on Discord. Like it's amazing that at any given point you can hop in a voice chat and talk to people around the world that share like similar interests to you and create a community. And like I get it, like I absolutely get it, and I miss a lot of those like conversations with you and Squeaks and like all the spicy boys and laughing and all that stuff. Like I miss a lot of that stuff, but like I never could have grown if I didn't like leave. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't, and so maybe like giving yourself some space and like giving yourself some time. It's also just a huge time sink. So like getting off YouTube, getting out of Discord and stuff, like it can feel tough because you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss something, or like I'm not plugged in anymore, or like I'm not in the community. But like that's absolutely not true. I feel like I'm bigger in the community than I've ever been, and like I watch the least amount of Pokemon YouTube that I've ever watched, and I never go on Discord. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's that can kind of be like a burden on you too. Mason says, "Congratulations, y'all became expert dust lords." So I don't know, man. I feel like you got to be in the top 1% of Australian TCG or just collectibles in general sellers. I would think, right? Like
I'm single. I'm in on eBay. I'm single digit seller. Like I'm in the top 10 for GMV. Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know what's funny is even like I had a call with my eBay rep last week, and he even asked me, he's like, what do you think's going on with Pokemon right now? So like I don't know if he's just seeing it personally because he's into Pokemon, or if like eBay is seeing like prices come down or like GMV come down or whatever. But I was just like, dude, like things are cyclical. All these other TCGs are going crazy right now. Like I think the 30th will be crazy for eBay. So it was just kind of interesting, but okay. Any final points on ignoring the noise, or any words of wisdom, or I don't know, something you could say?
I need to stop watching so much YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, but like you have to remember, like these people are selling you entertainment. Like they're selling you entertainment. They're not selling you like the path to be a successful business. I mean, some people are, like some people provide valuable content and teach you how to do business stuff. Like Brian's going to tell you how to like make ads, most efficiently and stuff like that. Like there are a lot of people that put content out there, but there's a lot of people that they're just entertainment. Like they're there for clicks. They're there for views. They're making, a full-time living on YouTube. And like, you have to understand that like the people's incentive structures are not set up for like you to make smart decisions all the time. Right. And
I just opened up my YouTube homepage and I've got 12, like there's 12, it's recommending 12 videos to me on the homepage. First one is our podcast that's live, which is great. The next one is, these are all within the last 24 hours. One is like, PSA is the biggest scam ever. The next is like Pokemon USA with down arrows. It was never phase cards with down arrows. Catch 'em all collectibles with a big cross sign. It's just every single one, Poke Plumber with a big bubble popping. It's just, if you let yourself get sucked into that, that's probably the worst thing you can do for your business. So I need to take my own advice and make a new YouTube and create a new algorithm.
Start watching some League of Legends, dude. I get my algo is like all League content now, because every time I see a League Classic thing, I click into it and I like watch it. So I've been getting tons of League of Legends content lately. But yeah, man, you can't be getting sucked into the sewage speculator. He's there for clicks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just quickly,
Oh
Do I
yeah,
ship with
yeah.
eBay or just third party to save money long term? What do you mean eBay partnered? Maybe you can message me privately, Quacks, and I can chat through. Because I'm dealing with all this at the moment. So, all right, let's move on. I'll talk to you privately. It's probably easiest.
Okay. All right. Make the case. Make the case. So I have been buying lately. So Kai actually sent me a video of a podcast, basically, I guess, kind of like this, but for video games, where you get people that are like, you know, kind of at the top of the hobby. One of the dudes is like the biggest or one of the biggest video game consignment shops on eBay. Um, you know, super valuable content, but probably doesn't get like a ton of views, kind of thing. And the guys on there were talking about Kingdom Hearts because there's a new Kingdom Hearts game coming out next year that people are pretty hyped on. And they were basically saying like they wanted to speculate on Kingdom Hearts graded games. And so I kind of like went after a couple Kingdom Hearts games. I lost like both of them that were on auction. I got outbid at the last second, which was kind of a bummer. But even still, they went for prices. Like I looked up the pop reports. I did the whole thing, right? I did the research, and these are like sub 20 pop, sub 10 pop games. This is like one of the most iconic cult classic games. I wouldn't even say cult classic. I mean, it's a mashup of Final Fantasy and Disney. Like these are massive games. And these pops are low. These pops are extremely low. The auction ended for like 650, and the buy it, and this is for a Kingdom Hearts 2 PSA 9.8 A++, and it ended for like 650, and then immediately the buy it now listing that was available sold for like 750. I even think that those seem like cheap prices at those prices. Like they're up from like what they were at, but like those seem cheap to me. I'm bullish on Kingdom Hearts in general, and it's funny. A long time ago, I remember talking to Charvy about this because Charvy was like the only person that like cared about Kingdom Hearts. But I was buying the Kingdom Hearts TCG 4 years ago on Mercari and buying the chase cards of the main character whose name is Sora. I don't know. Have you ever played Kingdom Hearts? Do you know anything about it? No? Okay. So the main character's name is Sora. I was buying chase cards 4 years ago and grading them pop one with BGS and PSA back then.
Like you,
But again,
and Charpy, like the only three people I knew, I think.
yeah. So super dusty. But I've been doing that again recently. I just bought a bunch of Kingdom Hearts trophy cards. I bought a bunch of the main character. There's like 4 sort of like main forms, I guess, that he has in the games. And there are like different foil chase cards. So like I bought a bunch of those. And I'm kind of thinking about like trying to find like a high grade copy of the game. There's a CGC 9.9 A+, and I can't tell if it's the reflection or if it's on the case, but like the surface looks kind of scuffed. I would want to like cross it over to a PSA, but I'm bullish on Kingdom Hearts as an IP in general. I think the main thing that people would go to, I think the least cute thing is buying like graded games because that's what people are going to connect with is the video game mainly. But I'm sort of speculating that, and these prices, just to be fair, like I'm buying the cards for the same prices now that they were 5 years ago. So that almost makes me more confident. Like stuff hasn't like run up crazy, but it is getting a little cute buying the cards just because it's not like the main thing people think about when they think about Kingdom Hearts. But I think there's a good chance that I buy these trophy cards, and if they grade high, the game comes out, and maybe people are on eBay searching for Kingdom Hearts. Maybe someone makes content around it, and you know maybe that's a catalyst. Again, I think the game is a lot safer. I did buy a bunch of I bought a case of Kingdom Hearts 3 to grade, and then I bought like 48 copies of Kingdom Hearts 2, the greatest hits version, to like send off to PSA and grade. But I think that is a highly slept on IP. I think if Lorcana ever did anything with Kingdom Hearts, it would be extremely successful. I think if like Magic ever did like a Universes Beyond with Kingdom Hearts, it would be extremely successful. And I know when that game comes out, it's going to go nuts. The only commercials that came out of that, like I don't know if it was Nintendo Presents or whatever it was called, but the only commercials that like got the same amount of views or more than Kingdom Hearts were like the Ocarina of Time Zelda remake, and I think the new Resident Evil game that's coming out. So I'm bullish on the IP. I think it's like a decent speculation. I'm not telling people to like go out there and buy, a bunch of like Kingdom Hearts stuff or whatever, but I think given the environment that we're in with collectibles, there's literally nothing that you can collect in the Kingdom Hearts world, right? With Final Fantasy, you have an entire TCG that's off on its own, and you have the Magic Final Fantasy that just came out. And like, look at how successful that Final Fantasy, Magic the Gathering crossover was. There's nothing like that for Kingdom Hearts. So like the main thing that people would collect would be like graded video games. So I'm bullish. It could be extremely dusty, but it's fun. It's fun for me. So like, even if I break even after 3 years, you know what I mean, or lose money or whatever,
you have to find something enjoyable. Like
yeah, at least it's enjoyable.
You're gonna lose your mind.
So.
I'm gonna be on that podcast you watch with the Kingdom Hearts. I'll be on that in like 2 days or 3 days.
Really?
On there yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah.
So go on there and shill games.
Yeah, you'll have to link me so I can troll you in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think I was talking to Lacey about it, and I do think that graded games is going to be something that is going to continue to grow as a category. I think a lot of games are already really expensive, but there's a lot of stuff that I look at the pops and I look at how popular these games are. I mean, these video games are literally selling like 9 figures every single time, like 9 figures worth of copies of games every time they come out. So thinking about a game that sells 50 million, 60 million, 70 million copies, and the pop in the highest grade of that video game is like 8, and it's $600, $1,000, that seems pretty cheap to me relative to people paying $5,000 for Forest Pikachu from Ascended Heroes that there's going to be thousands of over the next like couple of years. So I don't know. Video games are a huge part of pop culture. People are paying all this crazy money for all this stuff in pop culture. I think video games have like a good chance to pop. And I think that, I think the Pokemon and the Mario and the Zelda stuff is always going to appreciate well and be sought after. But I think there's a lot of other games that maybe people aren't really focusing on that still could have like some pretty crazy upside. So, and Kingdom Hearts is one of them. So I don't own any graded games, but I'm kind of feeling FOMO. I'm kind of feeling like I need to move on something like pretty quickly before prices get nuts or before people get the same idea. So it's tough though, because like when a 9.6 is like the only thing that's really available, it's like, do I even want a 9.6 or should I just like wait for a 9.8? Like I don't know. It's tough.
A lot of nuance as usual.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, I guess. Like, unless there's anything else to talk about, I mean, that's pretty much it. But yeah, guys, I mean, I know there's a lot of like negative stuff right now. I know it's tough, and like to Kai's point, yeah, like it does hurt to see like your inventory like go down in value and stuff like that. But I don't know. Like, no one ever made like good decisions when they were just like super stressed out, super negative, super, listening to a bunch of like negative content. So just try to like disconnect, try to like, I don't know, ignore the noise and think about like what's actually working and, execute, like make a decision, execute on it, and just like ignore what people have to say about it. And I don't know, like it's tough, man. Like it's really tough to sort of like give like
when it hits winter and your local ice creamery closes down because it's winter and people aren't buying as many ice creams, do you reckon the business owner goes, that's it, ice creams are done, this is never recovering?
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard at this point to think that like we're ever going back, and think about this, like at the time, the COVID boom seemed massive. It seemed so insane. It was like, oh my God, what is happening here? And then the fall off, and we thought, oh, it can never come back from this. This boom has been so much more organic, sustained, and is dwarfs what happened during COVID. Like, it's not even close. Like, people are like, oh, the boom in 2020. It's like, bro, this is a boom. Like, this is an actual compared to what happened. So in my mind, it's like, if we could recover from like what happened with COVID, like we sure as hell can recover from like, you know what I mean? Like there
was no foundations being built in the COVID boom. Like it was a price boom, and that was it. I feel this boom, as you said, much more organic, way more like business fundamentals, way more like sustainable operations have been put into place, supporting it all. And I think that's why it's grown for so long. Because think of how much the industry has changed in the last 2 to 3 years. Like how much support has been built that wasn't there for COVID. Like the amount of businesses, the amount of organizations, the amount of like investment that has gone in, that people aren't going to say, yeah, I know we've spent $100 million over the last 2 years, but it's slowing down a bit, so we're just going to call it quits. Like that doesn't happen, and that won't happen, and that is like the base that supports the whole industry.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, like things don't have to like go up in a straight line. You know, like you hear all these things, and people are like, oh, you know, the collectibles market is this many hundreds of billions, and over the course of the next 5 years, it's expected to grow to this. It's like, yeah, it's expected to grow to that, but that doesn't mean that like Phantasmal Flame ETBs are going to go up in a straight line as we get to the point that the entire collectibles market is valued at like a higher valuation than it is now, right? Like it just doesn't. It'd be nice if it worked like that, but that's just not reality. And so I think having a little like fortitude and the ability to sort of like you said, see past it, see that like, hey, like all the boxes are being checked here, all the infrastructure is being built out, the industry is bigger than it has ever been, it's more optimized than it's ever been. Like that's not all of a sudden going to go away. And maybe if people have wallet fatigue or just general fatigue in general, like that's fine, but like that's temporary. And a certain percentage of people will get cycled out and like new people will come in, but like pop culture collectibles as a theme is like it's not done. It's not done. No. And if you're like here for the long term, I think like making speculate like what you're doing with video games and hopefully what I'm doing with like some of the super dusty slabs that I'm buying, like I think that kind of stuff will pay off big over the next 3 to 5 years. I really do. I think having like the long-term positive mindset that like this as a macro theme is still growing and going up and to the right, even if it's a bumpy, like rocky road on the way to get there. I think that ultimately like that is going to pan out. So
it's a super dark thing to end on, but like I've been the last couple of months, I've seen a lot more like news articles about like the younger generation, like people in like the 20 to 35-year-old age bracket, especially in Australia. Like you can't, the dream of like for the average person of like buying a house here is kind of like pretty cooked. Like you have to work like the average wage job for like 11 years or 12 years to afford a down payment for a house. And so the whole thing was like more people of like this age are more just like giving up on that and investing more money into things that are like making them happy, or the things that are like they see as like an investment that they can actually afford and things like that. And I think a lot of that also plays into it. I don't know where I was really going with that, but yeah, I don't know.
I think, yeah, like I agree with you. And like, I'm going to make a video, like kind of talking about like something similar, but like, I think there's like a lot of hopelessness. I think that there's, and maybe it's in Australia too, but like it's definitely in America. There is a lot of hopelessness. People are complaining about not being able to buy houses here too. But I think a lot of that is because people are consuming like content that tells them that like, hey, this is hopeless. And they're not consuming content that says like, hey, here's what compound interest is. And like, here's what investing is. And like, here's how you like make smart moves with your money and stuff like that. And I mean, when I was in school, like I didn't have any of that. I had to seek out all that information on my own. Like I didn't even have, you know, like parents that like were teaching me that kind of stuff. Like I had nobody to like save me or like wipe my ass or anything like that. Like I had to figure that shit out on my own. And I think that if people prioritized finding that information, it has never been easier, at least in America, it has never been easier to make a full-time income than right now. If you have like an internet connection and a work ethic, you can make money talking about literally anything. You can talk about anything that you're passionate about and probably make 50 grand a year on YouTube if you're consistent with it. And you don't even need to edit that crazy. I think Alex is at like 40,000 subscribers. Dude stands in his closet and yells at you. You know what I mean? Like he's not doing anything crazy. He's making like a full-time living. He could quit everything in Pokemon right now and survive the rest of his life and compound his dividends and stuff into infinity, literally just doing the YouTube stuff. And I think that that's possible for a lot of people. We watched a video the other day. Some random dude made a video talking about like the truth about mattresses or something. And because in the US, it's this joke that there's like all these mattress stores. People only buy a mattress once every 10 years. So why are there all these mattress stores? And there was this whole like thing called Mattress Gate where people thought they were doing like money laundering schemes and all this sort of stuff. 1 million views on this 30-minute video that this dude's just talking about like the mattress industry.
I did see that on my feed this morning. I didn't click it, but I did see it.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like it's so crazy, dude. Like there is so much opportunity out there, and it sounds like not to be reductive to people that feel like hopeless or feel like they're having a hard time getting ahead, and like they work a full-time job and like they come home and they have like nothing at the end of the month after bills and all that sort of stuff. But it's like there is still ways to like get ahead. There is still ways to like compound your money and meaningfully change your life. But it also doesn't happen overnight. Like it does take time, right? Like again, 3-4 years ago, we were both like, oh, this is over with. And now like we're where we are, right? Generational wealth has been created off of shiny cardboard and collectibles. So that didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen. It definitely didn't happen when we were both like negative and like everything's going to zero and this sucks. And like, what am I going to do? Right. But like looking back now, it's like, oh man, like I can't even believe I ever thought that. So hopefully that's inspiring to people. I don't know, but like you got to stick with it, whatever it is, whether it's this business, whether it's working out, whether it's like making content or whatever, like you have to stick with it. Like the consistency and you're not going to know until you get 2-3 years down the road of doing it. And you look back and you're like, whoa, look at how far I've come. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. It's not going to happen next month. But little things are going to happen over time that are, if you stay consistent, that are going to sort of like give you that push that you need. You're going to get invited on a podcast with somebody that you look up to in whatever space that it is that you're in. And you're going to feel like, oh my God, I've made it. And then you're going to grind for another 6 months. And then you're going to get invited on somebody else's podcast that's even bigger than that, and so on and so forth. But you got to stick with it, guys. Like you got it. You got to stay positive. You got to stick with it. I don't know. We're just going to keep going around in circles at this point, but that's pretty much like the best advice that I could offer in a time right now where everybody is literally just printing money off of like complaining and being negative. And I get it. Like it's the content game, like do what you got to do. But
yeah,
anyways.
No, I think that's probably it. Hectic did just ask one last question. It's I think we've probably covered it. We can probably answer it pretty quickly. Like, what you're looking towards, I think you've got to be patient, and I think you just got to think of all scenarios. Like, if you see an opportunity that arises, think about either way that something could go, like up or down, and rationalize what could happen, and make sure you're comfortable with every opportunity and things like, or every direction that things could move, and just still pick smart. I think you have to be much smarter with what you do in times like this. You can't just throw money around as much. I think you really got to be calculated and make better decisions, because you could very quickly destroy your liquidity buying Timo wearing a hat. But yeah,
I agree. Like you do have to be smarter with decisions. Like just to give an example of like something I did like actually today that's like maybe actionable. I got offered like some seal product at a good price, and I was like, this is a good price. If I bought this to sit on, it probably would do good over time. But instead of doing that, I knew I had a buyer lined up. And so I messaged him on Instagram and I was like, hey, do you want these? And I sold them immediately and just clipped the profit immediately. It's like, I can take that profit immediately, roll it into something else. And I have no idea. Maybe I bought that stuff to sit on and it's stagnant for a year, 2 years, 3, who knows? But I know that if I sell it to him, I'm making that profit like right now. So making more of those kinds of decisions in this market environment versus like, yeah, like maybe I'm going to get cute and buy a bunch of stuff to sit on. Like, I don't know. That's kind of the stuff I'm doing. So, all right. Anyways, we've been going for over 2 hours. Appreciate you guys being here. Leave comments if you ever have any like questions you want us to answer, topics you want us to talk about. But yeah, go check Kai out on eBay Live. Anything you want to shill?
Go follow my Instagram. We're trying to get to 1,000 viewers. We're giving away a Poncho Pikachu business card. We're at like 800. Go follow me.
Really? Wait, graded?
Yeah, like those near the business cards.
Yeah, of course. Wait, you're talking about the? Yeah, I know what you're talking. Like the ones I sent you like not that long ago. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Graded? What grade are you giving that away? That's like a huge card.
Like a 9, I think, with a Charizard Poncho.
Dang. Okay. Well, you guys definitely should go follow Kai, because that's like a $600, $700 card, I want to say. So I would definitely go follow him. Oh yeah, and if you're looking for wholesale product, retrospecs.shop, baby. Like go run those numbers up. But yeah, appreciate you guys being here. Stay positive. Keep on rocking and rolling. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Everybody have a good rest of your night. Adios.